Hello and welcome to Infamous, the audio podcast. This is Brandon, or Mutilus on Discord.
This is Parker, go by One Who Parks on Discord.
This is Jeremy. I gotta leave in 5 minutes. I have baseball, but glad to see everybody. Hashtag baseball is better than MCP.
Bold.
Fuck it.
And this is Aaron. I go by Treffinwood.
Got it. I don't know if you guys noticed, there was a little bit of a pause at the beginning there. Have you ever, ingrained something so hard into muscle memory that you don't remember how to do it? It's like your password. You're like, oh no, what is my password? It's ... And you, can't actually remember what it is.
Yeah.
And you pick up the phone at work and you're like, where the fuck do I work? It's like, you just forgot. That's what happened. I was like, wait, normally I have to put in the start time and then I say the intro. And I don't even think about the intro. Mm-hmm. I was just like, I didn't type in the start number. And so I was like, what do I say at the beginning? I had to stop and think about it. It's like, what do I fucking say?
I sign my name so infrequently now. Sometimes when I do it, I stare at the receipt at a restaurant or something for a second.
Is that
I go,
my fucking signature?
And I go, my name is Parker. I spell it with a P. That's how and then I can do it. For some reason, if I don't
your hand does the rest.
Yeah. But if I don't actively think about it, sometimes I'll just stare at it and go, how the hell? How do you do this?
Get your name.
The spelling. I know my name is Parker. That's why I say it out loud.
Are you sure you know your? Are you sure you know your name is Parker? And you also
until this exact moment, I thought
sure.
the name tag on all of your shirts was just there as a style choice, but now I remember it's in case you get lost.
Yeah, it's 100%. It's so adults can find me and they can give me back to the owner. Yeah.
Okay, so who worked a shitty job where you had to answer a phone?
I did.
Okay, so
everyone?
Okay, so no, listen. So
not to the general public. Aaron probably.
No.
Has.
Yeah,
well, he has now.
So I can do the thing that always pops up in my head. I can answer a phone. Think of going South 7 Pizza. This is Jeremy. Would that be delivery or carry out? I said delivery or carry out. Wait, no. Delivery or carry out. Okay, what kind of crust do you want? Did you hear me? What kind of crust do you want? Fuck it, hang up. You just hang up. Fuck those people. Seriously. You have to listen to the words I'm saying. I cannot. Yeah. It's a program, dude.
All right. Well, if you haven't figured it out already, this is going to be a little bit more of a free form podcast. This is our episode 200, although it's actually the 201st episode.
Do what we want.
Yeah, because we've really just needed to exclude Jeremy for at least a week.
I had to get it off my chest.
Yeah. Well, you mostly just weren't invited, but
I've been visiting other podcasts.
Yeah.
Jeremy, why are you wearing a suit today?
Yeah. So everyone's called a business and had gotten the least professional person ever, right? Mm. You're just I got the new guy that's still being trained. He has no idea what to do at the most basic questions. Everybody's had this experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
You call Pizza Hut and the guy doesn't know how to take an order.
That's every employee in Walmart.
Exactly. And so I remember the first time I ever tried to order pizza, my foster parents gave me $20 to order Pizza Hut, and they went out. I was like, oh, cool. I have money for food. This is a first. And so I was like, well, I'll order Pizza Hut. That's easy. And so I call Pizza Hut. I'm on hold for, I'm not exaggerating, 45 minutes.
Whoa.
Because it was AFC championship weekend, and I'm watching the game at home. And so I have $20 to order a pizza. And it's legit 45 minutes on hold. And they answer the phone. I was like, blah, 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 can you hold, please? And I was like, yes. And then they put me on hold again. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay. And then I sat there, and I didn't even, I just put the phone down and kept watching the game. I didn't even realize until the game was over, I was still on hold. And so I look over, I'm like, oh shit, the phone's, I pick it up, still hold music. I'm like, okay, that's weird. So I turn up the volume, I just start watching regular TV again. It's another 30 minutes before they answer the phone again. And they go, is somebody here? I'm like, yeah, I was trying to order pizza, and they hang up on me. They're like, oh no, this guy's been holding for over 2.5
called my Pizza Hut.
Jesus.
I don't give a fuck.
That's amazing.
There was only 30 seconds of it. I was actually listening to the phone because I'm just watching football and regular TV. I was like, I wonder if I know I've left people on hold for way too long before because I forgot they were on hold. But that was a record for me. Is 2.5 hours. They probably could have taken my order after 5 minutes. So I called the store back immediately, and they immediately answered the phone. I placed my order, and it's just okay, why'd you hang up on me? He was just so afraid of the repercussions. They hung up on me.
I don't have a story like that where somebody was so incompetent, but I did have a story in which I'm sure that the place I was at was being robbed and the robbers were working there for me. I've never encountered this before in my life. It was in
like they were pretending to be the workers. So
yes, I am so sure that this place was being robbed and they were pretending to be the workers so we wouldn't call the police.
Oh my god,
that's great.
It was at a Burger King at 2 a.m. in Lawrence, Kansas. We had been out partying and I was the DD. And so I have a car full of people who are mildly to very drunk. And everybody's hungry, so we're going to pull into a Burger King. And this Burger King is since gone. It's been destroyed. But for obvious reasons we're about to explore. And so as we pulled around to the first thing, we sat there for like a minute, but everybody's kind of partying, everybody's kind of drunk, and people don't kind of realize how long it's been since no one said anything. And all of a sudden the thing comes on and goes, hey. We're like, yeah, hey, could you so I start to give my order, and the guy cuts me off like after the first Whopper and goes, you want food? And I go, yes.
The guy was so high. He was in another universe.
So he says, okay, how much? I go,
how much food do you want?
And so I keep giving the order, thinking that's what he means. And he gets down and goes, okay, cool, just pull around to the window. And so we pull around, and standing there is a guy like in straight like plain S clothes, just like a white t-shirt, and like he's got another guy behind him. There's like no Burger King stuff on them at all. And like, hey, so there's lots of food here. Do you just want some? And we're like, what do you mean want some? It's like he's like
yes,
we got lots of like nuggets. We don't have any burgers though. And I go, what? He's like, and so the guy, and so I was like, does everybody here just cool with nuggets? And they go, yeah. And so the guy just hands us like 80 nuggets, just like 12 packs of nuggets. It's just, and was like, you guys want any sauce? And he's like looking around and like finding the sauce around him because like he's discovering everything. I am so sure that these people had broken into this Burger King, or were not workers and like friends, and there was like
their friend was sick or something,
yeah.
So they like covered his shift.
Yeah. It was just people who had absolutely no business there. They didn't charge us any money. They didn't even ask. They didn't know how to do
like
it.
80 nuggets.
And so they just gave me like 72 nuggets, and we left. And we all were just like, that was the most amazing order I've ever.
That probably sounds unbelievable to some people.
Yeah.
But I've known so many people that are just like, never should have been hired, but the place was like desperate for employees,
right? And
they have no supervision, and they just act like that. And it's just like, what were you thinking?
Yeah,
leaving this person alone at a business.
Mm-hmm.
So following up, that's a great topic. Shit that happened at a job you just can't believe. I worked in a sandwich shop locally, and this was maybe
it a Quiznos?
No, it was not. It was called D'Angelo's. We did pita pockets and subs. So I think this was maybe my second job or something. I don't remember, but I was young. I was, like 16, and these were high schoolers and shit, and like everyone's older than me. And I get to work. It's 4:00. The manager, who is a like 17-year-older, throws away all of the bread and says, "We're out of bread."
17-year-older.
Yeah, older. 17-year-older. Yeah.
You added a couple too many letters in
fine.
multiple places for either of them to be a sentence.
No,
that's interesting. That's an interesting use of that suffix.
Older.
17-year-older.
Older. Yeah.
He like combined two different sayings that mean the same thing.
No, it's perfect.
Yeah.
If you combine them, it means more.
That's when like the Midwestern people are like, yeah, no. And you're like, do you mean yes or no? Yeah, no. And you're like, that doesn't mean anything.
Jerry, the next time I teach English, I'm going to use that line. I hope you give me permission.
Yeah. Older,
if you combine them, it means more.
They're like, a year what now? So anyway, throws away all the bread in the sandwich shop. I mean, like an entire day, 2 days worth, throws it away and just puts a sign up that says we're out of bread. People kept coming in. We were just sitting there. And they're like, we're out of bread. And he's like, you can't be out of bread. It's a sandwich shop. We're like, we're absolutely out of bread. Threw it all away. And I was like,
wow,
this can't happen, can it?
Why did he throw it away? He
didn't want to work.
He just didn't want to do anything, and that was his out. Was just we'll throw out all the money. That way we can't give people change, and they don't have
bread. Yeah, we don't have bread. It was unbelievable.
Aaron, do you have any tales of the military's gross incompetence that you can share on the podcast? I'm curious.
Are you allowed to share this?
That's
Probably
exactly
not.
how I said
literally
it.
just-
That's
I don't think he has
why I
time to
said it.
summarize his entire career.
We don't want to hear about Code Reds. Okay, we already know.
Accidentally dropping
Yeah,
bombs on
we're just
fields in
gonna-
Iowa.
Yeah, we're gonna sidestep that.
Yeah, we're gonna.
How
about them
How about your
rainbows?
wife?
My favorite part, personally, of working for the government was the building I worked in had red tape on the floor, and my security clearance only allowed me to cross the black tape, not the red tape.
Oh my god.
You literally
So
had
there's
red tape
just-
preventing you.
There
from
was
doing things.
areas in the building that I was allowed in, but I was not allowed to pass the red tape on the floor because I'm not allowed in that
Yeah,
space.
you better not.
And it was just an arbitrary decision how far away from the sensitive material you were allowed to be. So, like, I could stand at the tape with binoculars, technically speaking. It was like, what are you doing?
So along those same lines, the entire flight line at a classified military Air Force base has red lines painted on the ground.
Mhm.
And you have to enter and exit through very specific points so they can like watch and make sure that only people who are supposed to be going to certain places are going there. So as I was in the my first week of training for the B2s, we're in the bus and we're just going to go get a tour of the B2. Like, hey, this is the aircraft you're going to fly. Isn't it cool? Like, look at this. Like maybe do some stuff in the cockpit. I forget what we're there for. But anyway, and I see the bus and I'm just like watching out the window and we cut one of the corners of the red paint. Like, this is miles of just concrete, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because it's like, a 12,000 foot runway and taxiways and
They just-
everything.
He
And it's just
clips
all
3 feet off
we
the
just
corner.
clipped a corner by just clipped it. And I was like, I didn't think we could do that. Oh well. Yeah. About 40 seconds later, right after we get to the hangar,
Mhm.
some very overzealous 17-year-old men with assault rifles are pointing them in our general direction. And
Wow.
it turns out we were not allowed to go over the red line.
Nope.
I was like, yep, I thought that was right.
To quote Bill Odama, you were way past the red line.
Way past the red line, yes. So I'll tell you, there's nothing scarier than having some like really young kid with a gun point it straight. You're like, dude, safety.
Yeah,
stop."
because the people that overreact to little shit like that, you just cannot trust to be safe individuals.
Well, and they actually love it when that happens, right? Like they get to do something.
they finally get to do something.
They're like, aha!
Got you, motherfucker.
Yeah. So
I have a similar story like that from the one of my trainers at the FAA told me about the day that 9/11 happened, and at the time the controllers were not allowed to leave the building for lunch. You had to eat on site. So you either brought your lunch or ate in the cafeteria. And working there for 20 years, you can imagine you get kind of bored of the 4 things they sell in the cafeteria, and not many of them were responsible enough to bring their lunch. So they were sent out to take the company or the company van, go to this other facility in town, and pick something up and bring it back. So clearly, these 2 good old boys decide to veer off and get lunch. And so they go to like a Mexican restaurant, they have some margaritas, like they come back. And they pull up, and they're just, like, expecting the hand wave at the gate. Because there's armed guards at the gate, and it's, like, full security and everything. So he goes to hand wave the guard, because he's not really paying attention, because he's a little buzzed from lunch. And the guy just sticks an M16 in the window, and he's like, oh, shit! It's like, I swear to God, we only had 1 margarita. But it's like, apparently 9/11 had just happened.
Wow.
They had no idea, because they were out at lunch.
Yikes.
It was fun times.
One thing I realized at work by asking around, most people don't rage quit jobs. I've rage quit
I'd say it's pretty
a
rare.
lot.
I think a lot of people are willing to scream and bitch and moan about it, but they don't do it in,
Mhm.
like, the spot.
Yeah.
We've already established that you're the king of confrontation, or rather, you are
Well,
undeterred.
not in that case. I just quit. I
You were
left.
just like, hey, I'm done. Goodbye.
They made me sweep a Hobby Lobby once on day 1. The
Mhm.
entire Hobby Lobby. That was too much. I left. Quit. That one day. Didn't get paid on that one.
You just ghosted him. He just walked out.
Dude, he's like, sweep the whole floor. I'm like, the whole place? Like, what do I know about a broom? There's no training here. So, was forced. Well, I went and did the 3 a.m. throw papers with stranger when I'm 14. That made a lot of sense. Didn't get paid for
Oh,
that
yeah.
one. Rage quit.
You
on
made a
that
paper
one.
route. I was confused for a second.
Dude, I don't know if... For those out there that have never done that...
The paper route where you get up super early and go...
With a
papers.
Criminal. Yeah, with a criminal that has... It's a criminal that has a car that has no back seat, and it's full of fucking papers at 3 a.m. with a
I've
young
always
child
seen
in the back.
minivans. Yeah.
That is
you have an adult driving
thing.
the car, and there's a kid in the back, and you spend like 2 hours sleeving all the papers, and then you just drive slowly around.
And every 5 minutes I threw up because I got car sick, and then I cried, and I told the guy that I needed to go home, and he said, "You're not going home. You have to finish this."
You're never
He made me finish.
I love that you started this story with "I quit on the first day because that was so uncool," and then you ended with "So I vomited so many times and cried."
I threw up so hard and so much it was horrible. And then like my mom asked like 2 questions about it and was like, "Whatever, it's fine." Yeah, I did that for one day.
Wow.
I had a kitchen. I had one kitchen, and the kitchen job in Syracuse. I was like, okay, I'll go try this new place. I get there, and it's a warehouse that's been converted into some sort of weird ass kitchen, and everybody's drinking out of like empty Folgers cans, like as their water cups, and it's super hot. And that was the one. I don't know if I told you this story. So that was the one where we're taking all this chicken and we're like making this seasoned chicken, like chicken quarters, like whole chicken pieces.
Okay.
And somewhere around lunchtime, this one guy's got this pot and he's got chicken in it and he's cooking it. And the owner's number 2 comes by and is like, "Hey man, where'd you get that chicken?" It's obviously from the shit we've been making. And he goes, "I brought it from home." The guy goes, "Okay, good." And fucking just leaves, right? So we're doing all these things. We're putting all this stuff together. And I find out late that day that I also, the next day, have to go set this fucking event up and run the event. I'm like, dude, I don't do that shit. So I told the guy who was supposed to go run with me, he's like, "Dude, if you're going to quit, just tell me." I'm like, "I'm quitting." So then I'm getting ready to leave.
Let me tell you right now.
I go, "I'm quitting. I won't be there tomorrow." He's like, "Thanks, man. I appreciate that." So then the owner, the number 2, pulls me in. He's like, "Hey, man, how'd it go?" I'm like, "Terrible." "Well, what's wrong?" I go, "Well, the guy was cooking chicken. That was your product. And you said, 'Cool, cool, cool. It's fine. You can lie in my face.'" And I'm like, there's no leadership in here. You guys just fucking crazy. Y'all doing whatever. He's like, "I understand there's no leadership. It's crazy around here." I'm like, "Yeah, you guys need to put someone in charge." He goes, "Well, maybe that person in charge could be you." I go, "You're fucking crazy."
He wanted to get
I
a
knew
promotion.
that was coming. I knew from the start that was coming,
wow.
and it was still funny.
So for years
The guy
after
I
that,
just
the
hired
joke with
who told me
everybody.
he's about to quit.
Yeah.
You seem like leadership potential.
Yeah. The joke with everyone for like a few years after that was whatever it was, the answer is, well, maybe that person could be you. No, are you fucking kidding me?
I have turned my fan on. It's getting hot in here.
Chaos. Yeah, I don't know how I've been with this job for so long and like maintained.
That is amazing. You basically got like the pursuit of happiness right there. Like you were right place, right time. You could have been true happiness walking
Talk about
away as the manager.
People talk
of that
about I
entire
was
place.
promoted in the first year. It's like, dude, I was promoted in 8 minutes. Like,
Oh,
that guy made me
I
in
had
charge
it.
of the site.
Oh yeah, I own this joint.
If you were to walk away,
We
with the
really need
first
an
day-
owner
Oh
that's
my
more
gosh.
hands-on. Maybe that person could be you.
I am willing to give
That
you
actually
this place.
happened. It should be in a movie. That's how perfect that little whole scene
Yeah.
was. I was like, if I wrote
Yeah.
scenes for movies, that was so good.
Yeah.
Jeremy, I feel like half your work experience could be a movie.
Oh, it's certainly a tragedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a fun story from when I worked at 31st Century, the game store that is oddly closed. So the place was literally a basement. Like it was in a strip mall, but it was effectively a basement. Just to give you, most people that listen to this have been to a game store that's just a shit pile, right? And so this place was almost the worst of the worst. The only reason it was still open was because people loved how off the walls it was. And so there was like a core of 10 people keeping the place open that were just like refused going anywhere else because they love frat houses and they're just like, that's the best thing ever. So just as a set, he didn't pay for heat, and he would lie to customers that would complain about being cold and would tell them, "Oh yeah, the furnace broke. The landlord isn't fixing it." It's not I don't have any control over that. It's the landlord's responsibility. And the fact was, he actually just refused to set up a gas account because he never wanted to pay for gas. And so, because it's in a strip mall, he's leaching heat from the neighboring businesses because, the drop ceiling and everything is just shared space.
Yeah.
And so, he's getting ambient warmth from the two businesses next to him. And then he would set up space heaters to fix the rest of it. And one day, it was so fucking cold. I swear to God, it was like 38 degrees in the store. And everyone in there is wearing winter coats while playing games. It was fucking crazy.
Wow.
And because there's so much like body heat and humidity in the room compared to outside, the windows were just like raining condensation on the inside. And then the next day, the windows are like yellow because there's so much like sweat and like shit in the water. Anyway, so one day I was working. Joe was out of town at like a retailer convention like Gamma or something like that. And so I'm the only one working. I'm the only employee the store has. And I'm just running the place. There's like two people there. It's like lunchtime. And I see a fire truck pull into the strip mall without its lights on. I'm like, oh no, this isn't. And I kind of like watch it and it goes to the far end of the strip mall, which was a good sense. They park and they all walk in with clipboards. I go, oh no, it's fire inspection day. And I look around the business and I'm like, they're going to call the police. Like, we're going to get shut down. I look around, it's like two of the 8x4 gaming tables are just piled 3 feet high with broken down cardboard boxes. And it's also under the tables. And then I look around and like there's the carpet is like ripped in so many places. There's more duct tape on it than carpet at this point. And there's like several space heaters run with electric extension cords. And I'm just like, oh my God, we're going to jail. And so immediately I point to one of the customers. I say, take the space heaters, put them in the dumpster. You pull up all these electrical wires, get them out of here. And I tell another customers, like, start taking the cardboard to the dumpster. And I start just running around fixing as many other violations I can find. And for about an hour, we are frantically sprinting, trying to get this place into any kind of reasonable order. And they're working their way down the strip mall, and we're like right in the middle. I'm like, oh my God, are we going to make it? And then randomly, like, they're about one place away, and they get a call. They run out to their truck, turn on the lights, and they drive away. And they don't come back for the rest of the day. I was like, oh my God, we are so lucky.
Wow.
And so we spent the entire night just, fireproofing the building. There was an extension cord. There's like a 100-footer extension cord that was plugged in the back on an uncovered outlet. It's just a like metal wires sticking out. It's just plugged in and it goes up into the drop ceiling halfway across the room and drops out of the drop ceiling to run 2 space heaters. That was the normal wiring.
Oh man.
It
2
was
space
amazing.
heaters where the ground wires are broken off because the extension cord. Yeah, one of those.
It's even better because the fuse inside one of them broke. Like it blew out.
Tell me
so they opened it up.
with a bullet.
They pull out the fuse. They never replace the fuse. So they just shoved 3 pennies in the fuse slot and then close it back up. And so you couldn't turn it off. It was on max heat the entire time if it was plugged in.
Perfect.
And so it was like, dear God. So anyway, that was a fun previous job.
So that's a good subject. Worst game stores.
Ooh.
So I'll go first.
Okay.
Let me go
hold
first.
Hold on. Wait, hold on. I don't want to just be taking shots here.
No.
Can we
These
limit
are a
this
long
to
time
places
ago.
that are
No.
closed?
These are places that are a long way away. Long way away, a long time ago.
Well, I don't know if you understand this, Jeremy. Our listeners don't only live in Kansas City.
Some of them live in Guernsey.
These ones
Some
that
of
I'm
them
about
live
to
in
talk
Guernsey.
about are special circumstances.
Okay.
I can't remember the dude's name, but that's what the store was called. It was in a
It's
town
just like
a
Jason's.
long way ago. Yeah, Baldo's. It was called Baldo's.
Baldo's.
Yeah.
The guy's name is Baldo?
Yes. And I heard
What could have
rumors
gone
about
wrong?
this. The guy lives in the quote-unquote store with his mom.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't know what this is
31st
like.
century, the owner lived in it for like 10 years. He had a
Oh.
little apartment in the back.
So we're going to it was a 40K qualifier for Ardboys. It was an Ardboys qualifier. So there was a lot of
Ardboys,
people that
hell
was
yeah.
there. And it was in like Rochester, New York. So we
Oh,
drive.
see, now you've told everybody where it is.
Dude, if everyone's going to go, yup. So.
There's going to be a crowd going to Baldo's this weekend.
Oh, Jesus Christ. So I'm told there's this guy, this building. The guy's kind of weird. His mom lives there, whatever. I'm like, okay, so it's got to be a game store, right? Nope. It's in a neighborhood. It's a giant house. It's literally a house. You walk in the door. There's basically a computer desk and comic books kind of behind it. But there's also chairs and ottomans and shit. You go around those things. It's like you're walking through someone's house. And there's like, let's say, one table in a bedroom. There's 2 tables upstairs because there's more room for that. I see all this. I'm like, okay, this is really fucking strange and creepy. Not half as creepy as Baldo. He has house shoes on, no shirt, and overalls with one buckled. I'm not even making this up.
You don't have to.
This is
it writes itself.
It was so disgusting.
That's amazing.
That was the weirdest, like just, ugh. Yeah, that's mine. People
That
know what
kind
this
of
is.
I mean,
I didn't. Yeah, it's as terrible
I don't know.
as the guy made it. That's exactly what it is.
No, like that's like Sling Blade shit. Like you need to stay away from those people. But that reminds me of when I lived in Monon, Indiana for like 5 years, and I was a kid, and there was it's just a tiny little like 800 person town. They have like one school, one church, one general store. There was like a movie theater that sat 15. Like it was a tiny little town in the middle of fucking
one guy
nowhere.
owned a projector.
So there was a movie rental place in town, but it wasn't like a chain. It was just some guy decided to open a video rental store, and so he converted his house to a video rental place. And he clearly had a lot of business acumen because he knew how to make a house look like a business. He wanted it to stand out and be uniform. So he painted the house baby blue.
Okay.
Now, I don't want to confuse you guys because I think there's no other details that need to be said. Literally everything was baby blue. It was all the same color baby. The windows were painted over. The shingles on the roof were painted blue. Literally everything. So
gross.
you walk up and it's just this, like, it's hard to tell what's an object and what's like just cracks in the paint. Like it's just like this flat matte baby blue everywhere. And it's like old paint too, hasn't been painted recently. And you just walk up, you can't see in because everything's painted. You open the front door and it opens up on this like little general store looking place. He's cleared out the entire first floor, knocked down all the non-supporting walls. But again, everything, the floor, the ceiling, the walls, the inside of the windows, everything is painted baby blue. The furniture, the racks that the movies are on, the staircase, everything is the same color baby blue. It's so weird. And then just inside, he's built out of 2x4s and plywood. He's built all these stand-up racks where it's just all these VHSs he's bought. And he's got a bunch of copies of each one. And it's $1 a movie. You get it for 7 days. And that was the thing. And it's just like, you just come in and he just writes everything down in a notebook. And then you leave and you pay him. And he hopes you bring the movies back because it's a fucking town of 80 people. It was so weird.
What you're describing is exactly how college works. Or it did back in the day when my peoples were going to college.
Yeah, it was just the fact that he decided to paint. And it's just like in the middle of a street and you just had to know where it was because there's like no advertising. He's like, oh yeah, you just go down to Jim's. Jim lives on 3rd Street. You're just like driving through the suburbia. And like, it's not suburbia, it's just back roads. And then you're just like, oh, there it is. It's fucking blue. You can't miss it.
Did you guys ever encounter in your life the honor system where like somebody's running a business?
There's just like a bucket. Yeah, put your money in the bucket.
Yeah, expected bucket. I lived in a tiny town, much smaller than one you're describing, and there was only one little general store in the whole thing, and the guy worked in it probably like 4 hours a day. He was a really old guy, and he basically relied everything upon the honor system. He just kind of said like, this rack is $4. This rack is $2. He set up the whole store not based on items, but based on price. And so you'd walk in, you'd grab the thing you wanted, and you'd put the money in a little slot. Like he had like one of those like suggestion boxes. He just had like one of those, and you would just put the money in there, and you'd walk out. And that was the whole business model. And it was kind of like I grew up assuming that that's how people could conduct business. It's just like entirely honor system.
That's how the Geekery did snacks for like 5 years.
Oh yeah,
that's true.
I got a lot of free snacks back then. That was amazing.
You did get a lot of free snacks back then. I remember catching people stealing. I mean, honestly, I think the honor system kind of stuff like that is an incredible tool at weeding out thieves. Because you just make it something that's easy to rip off, but also easy to spot. And then you're just like, okay, well, I'll just figure out who's stealing and get rid of them. And then we can actually have an honor system.
I would send people in to steal as well because I got busted so many times.
Mm-hmm.
Those free chips.
That makes sense.
Man, oh man. I was like, this... What store is a sandwich shop that does free ice cream with your when you get a sandwich? I want to say it's McAllister's. But that's what I thought the game shop was. You go to the game shop.
If you show up, you get free
chips.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, this is a hell of a business plan. I love it.
As opposed to some stores in town where you usually show up, play games. You charge us money for that.
Oh my god. How many cats is too many cats for a game store?
One
cat.
Yeah. Well,
I'm not really. So I believe the answer of store pets you should have is 0. But I'm very forgiving of people who break the rule, if that's fair. Now, if you've got like 6 animals running around in your game store, you probably have a problem. But
there was
if people are like, we have a store cat. I'm like, sure, whatever.
I don't remember what store it was, but it was up in New York area, upstate. The actual number is 7. 7 cats. It would walk on the table. We went to a tournament, a War Machine tournament. And the tables would have a cat that would just walk up and flop itself down in the middle of your shit. Also, everything was covered in hair.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still itchy, I think.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's really the problem is, like, there's a lot of people that have allergies. So, I mean, even if everyone likes the cat, and it's a well-behaved cat, which is usually not likely, it's like, it's not worth it, right? There's not enough of a benefit as a professional business.
Mm-hmm. I don't think I could handle like a cat, but I would be totally okay if a game store had a falcon. I think that would be fine with
a falcon.
Have you ever interacted with a falcon?
3 owls.
That's why I want to have a game store with one because I never know. I've never been. I mean, I've been.
My game store has 3 crocodiles.
Yeah, crocodiles.
Like, have fun. It's like that's snappy. This is bitey, and that one's like angry. It's like what the fuck. Yeah, we got the chompers. Okay, so we're about 30 minutes in. Let's go ahead and do our first Mojo World.
Oh, buddy. Yes, sweet sassy.
All right. So today we're going to do 4 separate Mojo Worlds. So who wants to be in charge of this one?
In charge meaning we get to pick the first one out of the...
No. It's got to be the first one on the list. But who wants to... We got to nominate this to be for somebody. We'll do Jeremy. All right, Jeremy. What are the best hot dog toppings?
So I pick one?
Yeah, you'll pick one.
Okay, normal system here. Mustard.
Normal system, you go first. Mustard. I hate how this thing thinks that I always want it to be bold text, and definitely I do not. All right, Parker, what's the best hot dog topping?
I love some dill relish.
I like how you guys are picking all the bad ones, getting them out of the way for me. That's great.
If you say ketchup,
Aaron.
I'm going to puke.
Aaron.
The correct answer is chili.
Oh,
you son of a bitch!
God damn
it.
I cannot fucking believe you people.
This is why we prepare. This is why we hear about things beforehand. We're all wrong. Aaron wins.
Moving on to my life.
Congratulations, Aaron wins 200th episode.
It's the smartest thing I've ever heard in my life.
I was going with chili and cheese because I had the back-to-back picks, and so if Aaron had picked ketchup, I'd be like, chili cheese, motherfuckers!
Oh,
and so
Jesus.
I have to go with just cheese, and then I'll also go with ketchup, because you guys are fucking wrong.
Puke.
Alright, Aaron, you're up next. This is gonna be great when we get to number 12. There's fucking nothing left. It's like, put a fucking sandwich on there.
I'm like, another hot dog.
More hot dog. It's like a much larger, less healthy hot dog.
Number 2 is crushed Doritos.
All right, now we're just fucking bizarro land.
I love that you tank this so hard for yourself, Aaron. I love that chili first, and then you went with something like that and totally redeemed yourself. Perfect.
So my actual answer is plain, but I'm not going to go there. So
yeah.
I can definitely eat a plain hot dog, but
it's cheese. So actually, it's chili and cheese, and that's it, or just cheese. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But whatever.
All right, Parker, you're next.
I actually really like barbecue sauce on a hot dog.
All right. I like barbecue sauce on a hot dog as well. Jeremy, you got 2 picks here. Your final 2.
All right, I'm going to need a vote on one of these. First off, onions is good. I like onions. And
You mean like the dried onions with like...
No, just diced
You mean
onions.
like raw
Diced,
onions?
diced onions, yeah.
Yeah, diced onions.
Okay.
Now, this one is going to be, I'm sure I'm going to be shot down, but I'm going to say cornmeal because a corn dog is way better.
Oh.
All right. So I have a question for you guys. If I veto it now, can I then pick it? 'Cause that was my next pick.
Nope, he gets it.
All right.
I get it.
I'm just going to put cornmeal. Cornbread? Cornmeal? Is it cornmeal?
It would be a cornbread. It's a cornbread.
I'm going to put corn dog breading.
Yeah.
There we go. Now
that way people know what we're talking about. Yeah. I had to
Top
think about
it
what we
with
wrote down.
a entire funnel cake. Go.
1 pizza. Yeah. Parker, final pick.
I actually love it, kind of Memphis style with coleslaw.
Nope.
With coleslaw. Tastes good.
I love how you guys just name things I don't eat, and you're like, I put
I
that
know.
on hot dogs. You're like, whatever.
Crushed up light bulb.
Yeah.
What?
I like cork. Just
Cork.
corks. Cork.
Half a cup
Corkwood.
of water.
Aaron.
I am forced to go to plain because I have nothing else I want on my hot dog.
Aw.
Greek yogurt.
I just put nothing in all caps.
Nothing.
I
Hot
want
dogs
to
are
make sure they
perfect.
understand. All
The
right,
Ron
let's see here.
Swanson topping. Nothing.
Mhm. We have literally named everything I've ever put on a hot dog.
If you would have said sausage, I would have said sauerkraut instantly. That's my. I love a
Sure.
sausage
Sauerkraut
with
on a hot dog
sauerkraut.
isn't bad either.
It's not terrible. For some reason, I don't like it as much. I will go with coleslaw instead.
Well, you did say pickle. You said regular relish, right? You could do
He
sweet
said relish. No, it's just relish.
I do not like sweet relish, but
Hormel brand chili. Like, no.
No,
Like, that's not how that works.
Turkey
I like
chili
dill better.
for $1,000, Bob.
Turkey chili is
I love-
your response.
I love turkey chili actually, but not on a hot dog though.
Don't be blasphemous.
So I'm trying to think if I can cheat and just say bacon, but I don't think that's fair. I've also never done it.
If you think
Bacon
of like a
goes on there.
Chicago hot dog, they put like tomatoes and fucking.
I'm going to say
pickles and-
Fritos, but I specifically
interesting
mean
choice.
the barbecue twirly Fritos. They're called the honey
Interesting.
barbecue twists. Those are delicious. I have put them on hot dogs.
You can put that on anything. Come on.
but
We
it's
la-
just Fritos. Really.
we laughed-
Yeah, it's really just Fritos.
We laughed at
Corn
Aaron's
chips.
Doritos, but that is interesting.
Yeah.
Yep.
Motherfuckers.
I don't know why, but crushed up
It
Doritos
took me
just
a minute to get into it.
crushed up Doritos to me sounds like shards of heaven. Like I think I could only hurt my
Shards.
dogs on.
You definitely have to
it's
eat it
like
a little
Fruity
more
Pebbles.
carefully than you would
Yeah,
otherwise.
Stingy.
Yeah.
Fruity Pebbles or Captain Crunch. You're like, I'm saying goodbye to the roof of my mouth for 3 weeks, but it's going to be fucking delicious.
It
Yeah.
feels like
Hear me
twirlies
out.
would fit better. That's the problem.
Yeah. I'm a simple man. I like ketchup and cheese on my hot dog. Or chili. Ketchup or chili. It just depends what I'm in the mood for.
I like
All
veggies
right.
on a hot dog. I've never had a Chicago, but I probably like it.
You probably would if you like terrible shit like that.
Yeah.
All right.
So I won that one. Next.
I'm glad you said it because I wasn't going to.
Good. I don't want anybody to be embarrassed.
I think I won, honestly.
I don't know, man. Chili's gonna take it. We all fucked
I
up.
feel like chili should just win.
we fucked up, guys.
I got ketchup and cheese, so I feel like there's a chance. But
No,
I was really
you're
hoping.
done.
See, that's the problem. Is it's really about who gets to go first in some of these. So now we're gonna rotate the next one. So Jeremy's going last.
Aaron,
And I'll think of
Aaron got to
something
say
like chili.
Aaron could have said chili, talcum powder,
Talcum
Gunpowder.
and sardines. And sardines. Like just
Still-
pick something nobody likes.
he still would have won.
Yep.
Grapes.
Grapes. Chicken skin.
I can't believe chili was taken third. That's definitely the best take off the list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I'm not.
guys
You said
failed.
somebody else gets to go first, but I think who gets to go first in this format is kind of at a disadvantage because you have to.
Specifically with hot dog toppings? No.
Well, I did not. Chili did not come to mind because I couldn't think of
Because you don't like hot dogs. That's fine.
it, apparently.
Oh boy. That was funny.
Perfect.
Anything could happen in episode 200. Anything at all.
Anything.
Anything.
All right. I better not be the only one drinking because this is going to be weird when we get to later in the podcast.
I cannot drink. I am on too many medications that way. I think I'd go into cardiac arrest.
Speaking of such, you want to reveal what you did to yourself? Because
Okay.
currently we know it's not a wrestling
Story
game.
time.
Okay, so I almost wanted to say something right after the clap, but I knew Brandon had to start the episode.
Hold on, wait. Actually, let's do it this way. So
Okay.
first off, I want you to explain what has happened to you with no context. Then let's each get a guess, and we'll play Brooklyn Nine-Nine rules. Whoever's closest wins.
I have a partial tear in my rotator cuff.
Okay. All right. For people that don't know what your rotator cuff is, please explain that at your knee.
It is the muscle on the outside of your arm that connects your arm to your shoulder. It's actually a system of muscles and tendons. It's actually like more than one, and allows you to do the full range of motion. Basically, without a rotator cuff, you can do like Barbie motions, and with a rotator cuff, you can go G.I. Joe, like full ball movement.
I like how you keep like going to move, and then you like really slow down.
We'll go into the details of why every once in a while you see me chicken winging over here. But go ahead.
All right, Jeremy, would you like first guess?
I will, absolutely.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that somewhere around the hour of 1 a.m., your dog caught fire.
Damn, I was going with the dog.
Ran across the bed. You grabbed the dog, put the dog out, but while doing so, you fell out the window. Nailed it. First try.
I love the idea that because it went out, that must mean that I like jumped out the window with the dog, like flaming dog in my hand, and somehow like dunked it into water, like when I landed.
You can describe exactly later, but
he never said you saved the dog.
Oh yeah, no. I don't know. I don't know that.
By put the dog out, he means out of its misery.
Yeah. Aaron, do you have a guess?
I don't know how I beat that one.
Don't worry, just think of things Parker does.
Yeah, I got nothing.
All right, well, I'll go next, and then if you think of something, I'll let you go. All right, hold on, let me put it on a timestamp here. All right, so based on a previous voicemail Parker has left me.
Hey, Brandon, I'm on my way. Fuck. Damn it. I'm on my way, Brandon. As fast as I can. Can't turn on my goddamn phone.
I'm going to guess that he was in a hurry to do something because he's always behind because he's always procrastinating all of his chores. And so he got to the point where he's like, oh shit, I only have like 5 minutes to do half an hour worth of work. So he started frantically trying to do 3 things at once and then got way too over his skis and fell down the stairs.
Wow, that is not only is that really
exactly
really likely.
Correct.
I'm gonna reveal later after we hear Aaron's guess how very close you got. I'm gonna tell you how.
Well, yeah, you're gonna have to explain it.
Okay.
All right, Aaron. Now say how he like tore out his rotator cuff just shaking his dice in his hands because he never knows how to fucking roll dice. Nothing. You still got nothing?
I got nothing.
All right, we're gonna put him down for rolling dice. All right, what you got?
Okay.
What happened?
So the reason why I was shocked is that your actual description of chores is apt. It sounds like something I would do, but it's not what's closest to the actual solution. It's your analogy of being over my skis. Mm-hmm. This is an old snowboard accident. So
you tore your rotator cuff 10 years ago snowboarding, and it's just now acting up.
Yeah. So, so basically, what happened was 15 years ago. It's a really long story. It's the very first time I ever went on a mountain ever, and I was watching people go down the bunny slope.
This. Yeah.
And I looked at all the people skiing, and I was like, "That looks like pussy shit. I want something cool and sleek and sexy. I want something sleek. I want something sexy. What are you guys doing?" Because I went with a bunch of my friends who all have been skiing before, and they said we're all snowboarding. I was like, "Sign me up for that. I know what snowboarding is. I could do that." And they're like, you've snowboarded before? I go, no. But I've been on skateboards, hundreds of hours of skateboards. Like, it's nothing like that. I was like, it's everything like that. So
the boards are near the edge.
So, this is a full story, but this is the part where I damaged my shoulder. I have never slalom before. I don't know how to slalom. My first attempt was to use it like a sled, and I nearly killed a poor little girl because I just almost like turned into a puff of blood.
Cut her in half.
I used all of the muscles in my body to dodge her barely, and I didn't kill her. And after that, I realized I was like, I gotta learn how to slalom and go back and forth. And so I'm learning this, slalom technique where you're kind of doing this big S shape down the mountain, and there's a giant fork in the main drag. And I see all of my friends go right, and because I'm not very good at controlling the snowboard, I'm slaloming to the left, and so now I'm on the left. And now I know why nobody went to the left. There's nothing there. It's fresh snow, like it snowed the night before, and so it's just like super soft powder. And I'm thinking, why isn't everybody over here? This is awesome. I mean, I'm all by myself. I can like take some chances. I can fall down. I don't feel embarrassed. It's pretty soft. I'm actually not getting hurt by this. And so I start getting pretty good. I start experimenting a little bit. I'm feeling some confidence, which is exactly when fate steps in to rob me of that confidence, right? So the reason why no one was using that, and the reason why it was supposed to be, I guess, prohibited, but they didn't put any tape or anything on it, is because it was springtime, and in the springtime, you have these large stones that are close to the surface of the snow. And if you're not packing down the ice all the time and making this really hard flat surface, those rocks can get hot and they can start to basically melt the snow from underneath. So you can't see the rocks or the fact that there's basically holes under the snow, because the top layer gets frozen at night every night. But I'm basically skiing through just Swiss cheese or snowboarding through Swiss cheese, and so. While I'm feeling confident, I swear to God, the last thing that went through my head before it happened was, man, I'm getting good at this. And just funk, the top of my snowboard, or the front rather, goes straight down into one of these holes. And I just get propelled sideways off of my snowboard. And I land on my right shoulder and skid to a stop. And I was like, oh, that was a big one. That was pretty big. And I go to like lift myself off and like do a push-up. And I've never experienced anything like this in my whole life. My left arm went straight up like it always does, and the right arm went up also, but my chest didn't follow. I had dislocated my right arm. And I stood there looking at my arm like not in the socket, and shock. My nervous system was preventing me from feeling the pain. And so I pulled my arm out and put it back into the socket. It was just barely out. And I was like, oh, this isn't so bad. I don't know why people are always, complaining about this. I've never had one of this, but oh my God. And then all the pain all the pain rushed into me. And I just sat on the side of that mountain, just screaming for like 10 or 15 minutes, just so much pain. And I finally managed to get back on the snowboard, and I held my arm and shoulder slowly, like scooting down the mountain. That was not the end of the whole story, but that's a story for another time. The point is, I damaged my shoulder terribly. And I definitely damaged my rotator cuff. But I was, 23, and, so I just healed slowly. It took me about a year to completely get over the discomfort, but, I was spry, and so I got better. And then it's just been niggling, for a long time. And Father Time has a way of catching up with you. And I'm turning 40 coming up on it. And I am moving my classroom, because I got the brand new job, excited to move. And so I'm sprinting around, moving these boxes above my head from these really tall shelves and running them across the buildings. And it starts to get worse, and it's just kind of bad throughout the summer, but it's not terrible. I've had that before. And then of all things, I'm in a pool with my kids, and I just decide to race them. And I go underwater, and I'm pulling that water across my body, just pulling as hard as I can, and pulling as hard as I can, and pulling as hard as I can. And that night, I wake up with just incredible, incredible pain. Tore my rotator cuff in the pool. Just one pull too many with that motion. So yeah, here I am now. Okay. My dog is fucking dog. So I
knew it.
So one thing did happen with the dog. When you tear your rotator cuff, I don't know what a tear of a rotator cuff looks like physiologically. I haven't had an MRI because it's a very minor tear according to the doctors I've seen. And so they're like, we don't really need an MRI unless, you get a severe re-injury. And so I'm thinking, it's like a tear of tissue, like a tear in your skin. You don't pull it. You don't test it. You let it heal. So I'm kind of locking my elbow down to my side for the past week since it's happened. And it also helps me because I'm, not uncomfortable. So my dog wakes me up at 5:30 in the morning because she's an old lady, and that's when she has to eat dinner, to eat her breakfast now because she's on old lady time. And she wakes me up at 5:30 in the morning. I'm like, wow, this is kind of uncomfortable. This isn't feeling really good at all. I wonder what's going on. I've acquired something I didn't know called frozen shoulder. When you have a condition like this and you hold your arm to your side for that long, you basically get like a Charlie horse on top of a severe injury is functionally like what it is. And while I was trying to give her food, I reached up to get her bowl. This was an action I've been able to do since the injury, but that was not okay. And it was just, oh man, it was just screaming in pain. Just, I don't know when I felt 5-alarm fire pain like I felt with this. And it kept
because you didn't know it was frozen, so you went to move.
Yeah. Oh, it was absolutely righteous. And the worst part is I finally got it under control, laid back down, but now, if you've ever had Charlie horse when you sleep, me pinning it to my arm and then resting it like that and holding it in that position made it worse. So I woke up an hour later with it's the exact same screaming pain. Managed to get it under control. Woke up an hour later, exact same screaming pain. So at that point, it was almost 8 o'clock in the morning. I stumbled over my wife, and I was like, I think we have to go to the emergency room or something. So I've now seen more doctors. I'm now on a mountain of anti-inflammatories and some pills and creams and all kind of stuff to try to keep the inflammation down. I'm heading to physical therapy tomorrow. We'll hopefully get it under control. But it's been a righteous roller coaster, all thanks to that hill in Colorado 15 years ago. Or gosh, now I guess it
has nothing to do with the swimming.
And then also the swimming, being an idiot in the pool. I didn't even it wasn't even like a terribly dumb thing. I was just swimming hard.
Yeah.
But I purposely out there,
better.
Your story
my
was
thought
better.
was better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
I like the flaming cat, so we're just going to go with that.
All right, Parker. So you had a topic for us today? Something to talk about?
Oh yeah, I've got. I'm going to start with. I've got two, but I'm going to start with this one. I really like this one. One of my favorite comic books ever. It's now even been turned into a Disney Plus series. Is What If? And one of the reasons why I love What If is it asks readers and watchers to just kind of abandon everything you know about the universe as it is and think just wildly hypothetically. And so it allows writers to take chances and try things, but it also allows people's imaginations to really flow as opposed to being led by the nose through things. And so I have a series for you. This is called the What If segment, and I have a series of just kind of wild hypothetical questions. Try to abandon what you think you know about reality as it is and reimagine reality as if this is your reality, and try to hypothesize what if. What if this was true? And you tell me what you guys think. Mm-hmm.
Are these examples of what if comic books that actually exist? You're just going to see how close we get?
No, these are inspired by what if.
Actual hypothetical.
These are actual hypothetical questions. They revolve around us. Some of them revolve around Marvel Crisis Protocol. Some of them are specific to the podcast. They're just There's just a bunch of extreme hypothetical questions.
Let's do it.
Here we go. So I'm going to start with a lower ball. Here's something just going to get you going. Everybody can answer this. You take your turn. What if you tried to start playing MCP right now? What would you play and buy first? Knowing that if you walked into the game store right now and you looked at the wall,
I have no knowledge of MCP.
Yeah, this is a new world, a hypothetical world where you don't know everything there is to know, and you just walk up to the wall. We
never played MCP, and we walked into the store right now.
Yep.
Okay. Honestly, I'd probably just pick up Brotherhood.
Based on what?
I love Magneto and Juggernaut and Pyro, and I just like the Brotherhood characters the most. So I would just bought them just on reflex. Not knowing anything about the game, I think that just makes sense.
Cool. So you wouldn't attempt to find out what they do first or anything before you bought them? You would just
if I decided to get into a game, the first thing I always do is just buy the thing I like the most.
Interesting. That is not how I would do it. Jeremy, how would you do it?
I have always collected, and it would either be Spider-Man, but those guys, because I love Spider-Man comic books, I've got a ton of them. But they're not the coolest and most badass looking, and I've always loved X-Men, and I also have a shitload of X-Men comics, and Wolverine has been one of my favorites forever. So, I would probably focus towards Logan and Sabretooth Apex, because they're the most badass movie that I love the most, and Like, what I do know is I would have never bought MODOK. Like, I never, without knowing rules or anything. Like, there's so many.
Well, certainly, this is just talking about first purchase kind of thing.
Yeah.
If you're diving in, how are you diving in?
Yeah.
Yep.
So it would not be Avengers or any of that crap. It would 100% be something started with Logan and kind of wrapping models that I liked around that.
Aaron?
Probably Asgard, for kind of the same reason.
Is you like the Asgard characters?
Yeah.
Cool.
I'll go last. And I'll go last for all these because I've thought about some of them. In every game I've ever played, I always wait for the game to get a little deeper before I try it, and I always go for the thing I think is going to appeal for me the most on the tabletop. And aesthetics are fine, but they're like the least thing I'm worried about. So I would probably have pulled up one of the MCP databases, and I would just stand there in the store until I found a leadership that I thought would be cool to start with, and probably the one that gives me the most rerolls. So it would have been something like Guardians, maybe. Probably would make a good sense because I like the Guardians characters. It would have fulfilled a lot of that. And I was just like, reroll generic, go. And I probably would have done Guardians. Because I love my dice. I love to pick up my dice. I love to roll my dice. And then roll them some more. And then hopefully roll them some more. All right. Here is another what if. You guys ready? This one might require, this is ramping up in difficulty. This one might require a little bit of contemplation, so you have time. What if you won one of the events that you failed to take the championship in the past? So pick any competition you've ever been a part of. It doesn't have to be an MCP, by the way. It could be any competition you've ever done. But you didn't win. You didn't get first place. Which one would have pleased you the most? You would have been most excited.
You're saying which event do I regret not winning the most?
I guess, but regret implies you had full control, right? You don't always have full control of who wins and who loses.
I don't think that prevents you from having regret.
Sure.
You could lose a bet and regret losing the bet.
But you could also regret never going to a competition, right? So I don't know if that's.
I think I know what you mean, but
what's a competition? It doesn't have to be MCP. That you're like, that would have been really cool to win this because.
I mean, I think you just would have to answer the biggest stakes tournament. So I would probably say WTC. Obviously going with a bunch of the people here, our local guys, going to a big event like that, obviously to win would have been amazing. I don't think we had a really high chance of winning. I think it was definitely on the outside, but that would have been amazing. For me, I don't know. I don't really value trophies, so it's more about the experience for me. And so I think the only thing that would have been the biggest stakes thing would have been the coolest to win.
I know you love some of the War Machine trophies you've gotten for just I know you love the barbecue one you have, the giant.
Well, yeah, but that was just because it was a team tournament where I teamed up with my roommate and my best friend at the time, and we won a tournament together. That was just cool.
Right.
But it was also a little podunk tournament in the middle of nowhere. It was just a fun event that we got to go to that we had a lot of camaraderie with. Okay. So team tournaments, naturally, I would care more about because I'm sharing the victory with my friends.
Cool.
I'll go. So Gen Con, the last hardcore tournament ever, I believe it went 8 rounds. That was the most exciting and intense tournament I've ever played in my life, and it wrapped up an incredible time of War Machine. Winning that, whether it was most models killed or fast assassin, pulling a trophy in that one would have been really cool. I really would have dug that one.
For anyone who doesn't know what hardcore War Machine is, it's like speed chess. It is fucking crazy town. You have 3 minutes to activate an entire army worth of stuff. It is absolutely breakneck insane. You have to have perfect game knowledge and instant decision making to even compete, let alone, try and win something like that.
Yeah.
8 rounds is crazy. That's nuts.
Yeah, it went forever, and to me, right then, during that time, that was the peak of my gaming. I was the sharpest I've ever been, and went downhill from there. But that was a cool tournament. I really enjoyed playing in that, and that would have been neat. That had a shitload of people in it.
Great answer. Aaron, what about you?
So I instantly recalled the worst defeat of my life, which was high school football.
Oof.
Back in 1990, probably 5 at the time.
You mean 80, right?
Mm-hmm. So,
got him.
My senior year, we went 9-0.
Oh man!
And just happened to be in the same bracket, division as another team that went 9-0.
Oh, no,
Only
boy.
one of us was going to make state playoffs because we met in the 10th game of the season, just due to like
Balls.
random scheduling,
Mhm.
right? Well, newsflash, we ended up losing in a small part because I played wide receiver, safety. I was, two-way player, but we ran the ball all the time. Like, we never threw the ball. For whatever reason, they called my number, and I'm like, what the fuck? First of all, I won't get this. Well, yeah, sure, I'll tell a story. They had one really good corner and one not so good corner, and their good corner always played wide side of the field. So I easily could have beaten the bad corner, right? And so I even told the coaches, like, call this play, not the other one, like, if you want to. And all of a sudden, they call it to me on the wide side, and I'm like, whatever. And quarterback ends up launching it. Guy picks it off because it's underthrown. And I don't know if that was, like, the deciding factor, but the second pass I was thrown to all year ended up being intercepted and we lose the game.
Balls.
So if I had one game back in any competitive event, that'd be it.
That definitely has that feeling of everything is lining up, and then just and it just starts veering left, and you can't stop it. Like things just start clicking into place. And you're like, no, like.
Yep.
That's a good one. That's awesome.
No, it sucked. Why do you?
Was it awesome? What
Pleasure
is
in my
Just
misery.
grinding it
It's
in.
a great answer.
Yeah, I'm glad
Builds
that we
character.
know now that Aaron's pettiness started way back in
Pettiness.
Yeah, he's still holding a grudge about that.
I don't think he's. I asked him a
High
very
school
specific
football.
question.
No, it's fucking with you. All right, what's yours? Let's go.
Mine is War Machine Weekend. It was the last War Machine Weekend I went to, and it was still called War Machine Weekend. It was the last chance qualifier, one of the biggest ones they ever had. I was in the semifinals, so it was 4 guys left in the tournament. We've been playing for like 13 hours. We're super tired, and I have the guy locked down. He has to take like a 1% roll and then like a 4% roll to win, and he gets them both and kills my caster when I had it all locked down. You might remember that, Brandon. You were right behind me. I was playing Sorsha 2.
I think this is the same year that Richard made it pretty far.
Mm-hmm.
Was this Mark III?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay.
I was really proud of my Kedor play that year. It's another one kind of story like you, Jeremy. I was really, really proud of my lights out play, and I was proud to bring some amazing things that people weren't seeing. But
I lost a really big game on a last chance assassination like that, like as time's expiring. And I did the math on it after the game because I ended up being like a 3.9% chance. I was like, oh my God. Like, yeah, those are always rough when you feel like I've locked this down so hard. And it's just like, but then they just get the like weakest percent chance, like bail out. And you're like, oh.
And dice happen, but
For sure.
But the reason why I said specifically this championship is because I never got to play in the War Machine Weekend Invitational. It was the only thing in War Machine I never got to touch besides WTC, and I was really that was one of the things. Like I won one of the in hardcore. One of the cool things about it is you could win. There's like 4 different categories to win. I've won one of the categories in a giant hardcore at War Machine Weekend, but I had never got into the Invitational, and I was so close. That was, literally hair's breadth. It would have been awesome to see that happen. But,
yeah. When it comes to like stuff like that, it's not anything against your opponent.
No,
because obviously they found the out and managed to achieve it. It's just the feeling of accomplishment that you're like, I've done so well to this point, which in a difficult game against a good player, and then it just but you were opposite rewarded for it. Like you're punished for it. It feels like in the moment. So. All right, what is our next one?
Okay, our next what if is specifically about MCP. What if this game has always been a pick ban format? Meaning,
you like Battle Realms?
Yeah, like it's always been a Battle Realms type format. I'm not trying to quibble on how to pick ban, but which model would you ban the most? You were like, no, not this guy. I don't want to see him.
So hypothetically, over the entirety of the game, which model would have banned the most?
Yeah, would you specifically, because you don't want to see him? You're tired of seeing this guy.
So I guess my only question, is it a potency question or a volume question? Like, is there a point in the game where I would have said one model beyond all else with a huge gap? Or is it like just out of every game, this model was the most broken for the longest period of time.
I think you will define that how you want to define it. For me, for example,
got it.
Like it's mine was fucking Phantoms from Star Wars, right? Because
I understand what you're saying. I'm just trying to clarify so we're all on the same page when we answer.
You get to define if it's because you want to win more games, or you don't like this model in the meta, or you're just like, I hate this guy.
Yeah. I think the important thing to recognize for this question is that it's unfortunate that Parker would have never played because Parker hates Battle Realms. And he doesn't go to Battle Realms tournaments.
By the way,
that
unfortunate title for that last cast.
My answer would have obviously been Dr. Voodoo. Dr. Voodoo, every moment he existed in his original form was an insult to the game.
Okay. That is quite fair. He didn't feel good when it happened to you.
It's he probably wasn't the most powerful model ever released. He was just the most toxic for the game.
Crimson Dynamo.
Ooh,
Done.
That is a good one.
Every moment he is on the table, I fucking hate that model.
I've never lost a game with Crimson Dynamo. He's so bad.
Yeah, I'm sure that's true. I mean, seriously, if I could nix a model from the fucking game, I could pick any of them. It'd be Crimson Dynamo.
You think he just removes fun from the game?
He removes fun from the game. Absolutely.
Okay. You know who removes fun from the game? It's fucking Thanos.
I hate Thanos, just different reasons.
I was going to say, Jeremy, don't you have like a personal, superior?
Well, I won't play against him, so I'm already banned him. So fuck it.
Yeah,
that's already
banned by proxy.
All right, Parker.
Mine is actually the Immortal Hulk. I do not like the Immortal Hulk in the game.
That's a fair pick.
I do not.
I hate Immortal Hulk. I just don't think if he just exists as a boogeyman that you play 1 in 40 games, I think it's fine. And you can play around bad Immortal Hulk players. But like Voodoo, you can be a brain dead person and just declare the fucking abduction action on Voodoo and just win the game because his mechanics just invalidate rules of the game. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's why I hate him more. But yeah, I think those are all good picks.
Yeah. Here's another one. This is actually inspired by one of Brandon's favorite topics that we used to bring up a lot.
I just want to say real quick, though, I really liked that question.
Oh, good.
I think that was by far the best question so far.
Cool. So this is a very hypothetical one, okay? So you might have to put your thinking caps for this one, but I thought this one sounded fun.
Here we go again. He thinks that
nobody here
can
God.
Nobody can grasp the idea of like, oh, guys, it's a center line objective. Nobody will be able to figure this out. Like, all right,
fucking thinking caps on.
What if keywords were always in the game? What keyword or words, you can just pick one if you think one, would you add and give an example of a model that had that keyword?
What? I don't understand.
So keywords are things like mutant, for example, right? And so mutant...
I understand what a keyword is. You're saying.
So
that was not my question.
So the idea is...
Did you put your fucking thinking cap on first, Brandon?
Yeah. Is it on? Because if it's
so
tight...
you basically are asking me if they came up with tags and applied them to models... What then?
What I mean is, I don't want you to have to come up with a giant rule set for everything, but the idea is you think it would be better if the game had this. It maybe
so, like for example, Asgardian and Inhuman are rules in the game that some models have. And It's like a racial trait,
right? And they actually confer.
So what if that existed?
What if that was there? What's the best?
Hold
way
on.
to put this?
How about this? Is your question? Would I like to see keywords in the game?
Let's pretend that keywords have always existed. It's a hypothetical situation, right?
Okay.
So what keyword would you like to see added to the game? Because you're like, this would be cool if all the models that shared this concept had this keyword.
I don't know if I can answer that question with absolutely no context. I don't know.
So
like the implications are infinite.
Do all Asgardians get 2 power? Is that true?
Everyone that has the Asgardian keyword gets 2 power.
Okay.
Not everyone is an Asgardian. Just like Inhumans. Everyone that has the Inhuman rule gets a reroll. But not everyone in Inhumans is an Inhuman. But I think he means more like, what if mutant was a keyword? And that way, like, Sentinels got Nemesis mutant. Like, would be, I think, a good example.
There you go. Things like that.
So, like, would I like to see keywords in the game? Yes, I would. I think that would be fun interactions that you could create. But, like, without saying, like, imagining they had always existed, I'm not really sure how to answer that question. I'm not sure what you're asking me.
I guess I was just letting you play God for a second and pick something. Like your example you just gave was
great. Like I can give you examples of like ways I would use keywords.
That's what I wanted to know.
Yeah. Okay. If we're going with that, so how about we all come up with a cool keyword interaction?
Sure.
Okay. Sorry, I'm trying. I just don't understand what your question was.
That was my question. You did a great job of elucidating.
Okay. You can make Magneto's attacks like more effective against people with the metallic keyword.
Oh, that's cool.
So like Iron Man and Crimson Dynamo, people like that, Colossus, Wolverine, you could make his attacks either more effective or more able to maneuver people. Maybe you could just have a superpower that allowed him to move. Or how about this? He could use his throw on characters with the metallic keyword.
Right.
So you just throw them long. Like, fuck you, get out of here.
Yeah. Or maybe like Storm could do extra damage to them because they conduct electricity or something funny like that. You could do lots of things like that. Yeah. Shocker couldn't though because he doesn't actually use electricity. That's
Shocker doesn't.
Well, I never
shock.
said he used electricity. I said
Shocker
he could
doesn't
shock
shock.
people.
Shocker doesn't shock. Jeremy, do
Super shock.
you have a cool one?
I think it's just messy in how they do their regeneration in the game. I would like to be a keyword, and I would like all models of said type to have it or whatever, or not have it. Like, I wish they'd clean a lot of that up. Like, that's what I'll say about that. Like, if it was a keyword that fixed it, great.
You mean the healing factor?
Healing factor, yeah.
Aaron? Feel free to steal my Sentinel thing.
That was kind of good. Although I wouldn't do anti-Sentinel, I would do like Mutant Hunter. So
yeah, that's why I said like Sentinels would have Nemesis Mutant.
Yeah,
so get
but Mutant Hunter's better, so we're totally doing that.
Sure.
So Mutant would exist, so you could either have pro or anti-mutant abilities.
Yeah, that's a great example. I do want to interrupt here since Parker brought up the whole bets thing. I always made fun of Parker privately about not reading the Discord channel because the answer to all of his problems was in the Discord channel all along. People kept posting that all you have to do is bet your entire allotment of episodes every time. And as soon as you win one, you have 0 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
But you never read the Discord channel to figure that out, that people were trying to help you.
I understand that there are good ways to bet. I'm just not doing
I'm just unaware of them.
Why would I choose that way? Yeah.
You just put on your thinking cap.
I'm very sure of it.
All right, do we have more questions?
I was going to add mine. I thought Cyborg would be cool. I know they already kind of have some weird things, like a lot of the cyborgs are immune to specifically bleed. I just thought anything that's bionic, like vision,
make like a robot rule.
Yeah, synthezoid or whatever it is, just combine it into one thing.
Construct.
Yeah, construct, baby. I thought that would be a cool idea. So, now this is a long shot, but this is a real hypothetical.
As opposed to a fake hypothetical.
Well, what I mean by that is I don't know how easy this is to answer, but I still thought I'd ask you.
Because before we were doing hypotheticals, this is a real hypothetical.
One of the things about this game is that you kind of have to use your imagination every time you set up a 1v1 because they kind of presume that you can just make up a reason why Red Skull 2 would be fighting with Doctor Strange as a magician, right? Like they just gotta hand wave all that, right? But one thing that they set up in this game that doesn't hand wave that specifically are things like ultimate encounters. So if MCP was only ultimate encounters, where the game was a narrative game, and you bought characters as expansions to interact with ultimate encounters, and there was no 1v1, it didn't exist, would you still play the game?
Would I play the game if the narrative type events were the only way to play it?
Mm-hmm.
It would be a living board game that Fantasy Flight makes. You'd play a handful of times and stick it in the closet.
Yeah.
Because they have those.
I'd say yes. Yeah. No, I think I would. If it was just like, hey guys, there's a $40 box set that comes with this like pre-painted Magneto, and he's trying to destroy mutant kind, and there's like this team of heroes you can play against it, and then there's like boosters that add more heroes to it. Mm-hmm. That'd basically be a 3D version of Sentinels of the multiverse. And I think, yes, I would play that. I would not actively seek it out, probably, but if I had friends that played it, I would definitely play. The money barrier, rather, would not be a reason for me not to play it. It'd be mostly that I just had other people play it with.
Mm-hmm. Jeremy, was your response to say no? Because you wouldn't. You'd see the writing on the wall?
I think he's making fun of how stupid the concept is, but yeah.
No, I'm not.
I think he's saying he would play it, because he
Fantasy
fucking loves
Flight,
that shit.
Well, like I say, it's a Fantasy Flight kind of thing that they do. There's several games that have almost exactly that concept. And it's fine, but again, there's always the new one of the week, so it usually doesn't last forever.
There was a, I can't remember what it was called. It was just called like Marvel Heroes Encounter or something. It was like a 4-player game, and it was free for all. Every person played a hero team and then the person to their right played their villain. And so everyone at the table is playing a hero team and a supervillain. And you're basically the enemy of the person to your left, and the person to your right is your enemy. And so you run the villain on your opponent's turn, and then on your turn you run your hero team. And so everyone already has set heroes. There's Avengers and mutants, and there's Fantastic Four, and there's Marvel Knights. So you have like Daredevil and like all those people. So the Avengers team is Hulk, Thor, or, you know, like Captain America, Iron Man. The team is fucking busted. Like, it's incredibly strong. And the villain is Red Skull, who is by far the weakest of the supervillains. And so if you play the Avengers, you basically auto win because they didn't fucking balance the game. But the Fantastic Four's villain is Doctor Doom, and he fucking shits on them. So if you get to sit at the right spot on the table, you get to play Doctor Doom and the Avengers, and you basically are the evil villain of the whole table. It was a fun game. I played that back at 31st Century a few times. Do we have any more questions? Is that the end of the what ifs?
Well, Aaron didn't answer.
He didn't answer. I'm sorry. I thought he did.
Yeah, I did.
He did.
For Mutant Hunters.
He did.
Mutants, friends, and...
No, I said... No, you didn't answer this one. I just...
Would you play MCP if it was a board game?
I'm going to say no.
Mm-hmm. If it wasn't like a competitive 1v1, you like that out of your games?
Depends why I'm buying a game.
Yeah.
I play plenty of board games, either exclusively with my family, or I am always down for like a bro game night. But the game has to be worthwhile, obviously. But
right, I think that's all a given. I think the thing that drew us all to the game is the fact that it's a 1v1 competitive miniatures game. Mm-hmm. And so if you just take the concept of the game, like Ultimate Encounters or narrative events, and put it into a board game, I think it still draws us for the same reasons. It's just, you know, you have a different expectations for it. Like, you know, longevity of play and, like, you know, dollar buy-in.
I would say, I'll finish the last one. I would say wholeheartedly, for that reason, I would not be playing MCP. I love when I know my opponent is going to be a different person, you know, and they're going to bring a totally different squad. And when even narrative games that give me a lot of choice, I still feel like they're so scripted that, kind of like Jeremy was alluding to, I learned the script quick enough that at this point in my gaming career, I check out of them super fast. So I think the choice to make MCP kind of both, how they've done Ultimate Encounters for those who like the more narrative, you know, railed kind of events, and just the 1v1, bring what you want to bring, and I'll bring what I want to bring, and we'll see who comes out on top. I think it was smart, and that's the reason I play. So yeah. We'll close it up there. Those are my what if questions.
Okay. Cool. All right, let's hammer out our next
good
Mojo World. Yep.
Chili. I just want to I'm going to shotgun chili, whatever it is.
Don't worry, Jeremy. You have some time because you're not up first this time.
Fuck.
All right. Parker's up first this time. This one is best movie with a car chase scene. Or just a car chase movie. Either one.
Which Mad Max? I actually think... no. Which one is... Is it Road Warrior? Is that the original giant chase on the semi-truck?
Yes.
Yeah, I want Road Warrior.
Yes. Fury Road is a remake of Road Warrior.
Yeah, I want Road Warrior.
And because Road Warrior was just called Road Warrior, right? It wasn't Mad Max Road Warrior. It was just Road Warrior. It was just a sequel to Mad Max.
Yeah.
Correct.
All right, Aaron, you are up. I didn't see Road Warrior until I was like 28, I think.
I saw that when I was way too young.
Speed count. It's really one entire
speed. Yeah.
Speed.
Wait. Do they ever actually chase anybody, or is it just them driving?
No, the cops don't. The cops chasing the car at one point. Like
no, they're escorting the bus. They're not chasing it.
Yeah, I don't really think it's a chase.
There's no pursuit.
We're gonna have to go with fine. We're gonna go with Charlie Sheen's The Chase.
The Chase. That seems fine. I have not seen it, but I'm assuming there's at least one chase. So, I mean, it seems logical.
It's where I learned to have coitus while driving.
Oh my god.
That's where you learned to do it? Oh, that's fine.
I'm a visual learner.
I mean, there's at least 10 Fast and the Furious movies you can pick from. So.
Oh, you spoiled all of my other answers.
Oh, God damn it. All right, let's see. I am up next. I'm gonna go with Fury Road. I like Fury Road a lot. Jeremy, you got back-to-backs.
Batman: The Dark Knight, where he's chasing the Joker and all that shit. That's pretty cool.
Okay. Yeah.
And car chases that are interesting.
You could also pick most of the James Bond movies, I think.
I know. I mean, I was going like Jason Bourne. I mean, they're fucking notorious for their bullshit, but I just don't care. There'll be something good here in a second. I guess Jason Bourne. Just throw it in there. I don't fucking care.
The Bourne Identity. That's the famous one with the Mini Cooper,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and they drive around fucking backwards in Paris and shit. I don't know.
Yeah. Was that Mini Coopers? I can't remember. But
Yeah,
it's like a little European. Yeah.
We'll go with Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
I
think a dirt bike counts as a car chase.
This is the chili of this one.
Mm-hmm.
I almost said Terminator 1. Yeah. Terminator 1 has
that's a good one too. Yeah, when he's like chasing them to throw in the pipe bombs.
Yep.
Aaron, you're
up. Blues Brothers.
Oh, that's a good one.
All right, Parker. Back-to-backs, final two.
All right, I'm going to go with Fast Five because it's the most dumb one in all of cinema history.
Dude, Fast Five is, I will fight people on this, the pinnacle of Fast and the Furious movies.
It is. It's the best one by far.
Exactly what they finally got it just right, and then they start fucking with it again.
Yeah.
It's like Rocky 4. It's like, you did it. That was what it was supposed to be.
Right. Stop digging. You hit gold.
Yep. You did it.
But that scene, like that entire extended scene with those two cars pulling that safe that weighed just several tons and the chain constantly getting tangled and somehow untangling.
Yeah. Okay, so it's
awesome.
Completely unrealistic, but the one thing I will say is if you leave out the fact of how thick the walls are, because most vaults aren't actually meant to be impenetrable at any point other than the door.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're imagining it being a foot-thick solid steel, yeah, it's completely impossible.
Mm-hmm.
And then pulling out of the wall was completely impossible. However, if it's just like, quarter-inch plate steel, they could pull that. Mm-hmm. Now, assuming it's like empty. But
yeah.
All right. What's your next one after Fast Five?
I'm actually going to go with my another heist-type movie and The Italian Job.
You tell that's a good one. Alrighty. Mr. Aaron, final pick.
Matrix Reloaded.
Ooh.
That does have a really cool scene.
Without Googling, I think I'm going to go with Gone in 60 Seconds. Mm-hmm. I think it's just mostly because I watched it at an informative age.
Let's go.
It's so corny.
It's so corny.
The whole movie is super corny, but it's just fun to watch, man.
Yeah.
And there's also the scene, because we were watching in high school, in my welding VOTEC class, we had a 30-minute lunch. And so we would watch Gone in 60 Seconds in 3-episode features every week. And so we would just we'd watch 30 minutes, we'd go back to work, we'd watch 30 minutes, we'd go back to work, we'd watch 30 minutes on Wednesday. Then we'd just start it again on Thursday. And so we would just watch a movie and a half of it every week. It was hilarious. But the scene where he's running from the helicopter and the car's going like 110 and it's redlining, he's like, I got this. And he flips the switch and hits the nozzle. And then his headers go to the moon. His engine explodes. It's like, what the fuck were you, who did this? It's just so corny, but it's great. It's what created the Fast and the Furious movies. That movie started all that. Anyway. Jeremy, you got one final pick to dig yourself out of this enormous hole.
Indiana Jones.
The first one?
I think Last Crusade is the one where they...
Which chase are you talking about?
Germans and vehicle. I guess that's the first one.
No, Last Crusade has a chase. He's in a tank. It's the whole...
Yeah, I was going to say, he said
one?
Germans in vehicles.
Yeah.
I want that
one. No, well, he's not chasing the tank. They just fight on a tank.
No, they have horses and stuff constant, and then they have a whole a big truck pulls up next and jumps on the tank.
None of those things are cars.
The truck is a kind of vehicle, like a car.
I'm pretty sure you're right. They run up on horses.
You picked a motorcycle.
He does.
I picked a dirt bike, which is an automobile at least.
A tank is an automobile.
Tank is that does not count.
Automobile
has
I
0
think you
wheels.
can do it.
0 wheels.
Zero.
Alright, fine.
I already picked one I don't even give a shit about, so give me this
I
one.
like it. I like it a lot. I think it's an inspired choice.
I really thought I put my thinking cap on.
Yeah.
And I thunk.
Okay, got it.
I picked Road Warriors because every time I've ever used a boomerang to kill someone, I jump backwards. That backwards backflip into a hole. Like, there were so many parts of that movie that were so unnecessary, but wonderful. Things like that. Oh.
Every time I kill someone with a boomerang. Don't I know it?
Okay. Jeremy, you had something you want to talk about today?
Yeah. So, listening to... So, first off, it's been a minute since I've listened to anyone else's podcast about MCP at all.
Well, obviously.
Been kind of out of
They
it.
just don't reach the bar, you know?
Yeah, it's just whatever. But, Taco Truck had a cool idea, so I kind of wanted to bounce it off us. It's kind of the same thing that they did. And it's the whole concept of, like, what is, like, the best kind of mental state / place you want to be? Who do you want to be as a gamer, kind of, sort of? Does that make sense? Like, what are you trying to do? Why are you gaming? Like, what is, like, for you? Like, you're there to, I guess, take the trophy home no matter what.
Yeah, what do you want out of it?
Yeah, like...
You know, what drives you?
And, like, what don't you want, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So, with that in mind, because I was kind of thinking for myself, I wonder anymore, because I seem to be, like, the old cranky man fucking gaming across the table. Like, I've got 1,000 things I don't want anymore. Like, but I've always thought... Like, I want to be the game that someone talks about tomorrow in a positive light, regardless. Like, I would like to be that, but I don't know I always achieve it. But I like to do things that make me feel smart, and I like to laugh and joke and have a good time with both parties. I don't like to do that by myself in a 1v1 game. And that's kind of why I come to the party. Like, that's why I'm there. I like to win. In fact, I hate losing more than I like winning. So it's kind of a dilemma, but it's okay. But that's kind of my whole thing. Like, that's what I was thinking about when they were talking about the subject. And I thought I'd just throw that out to you guys.
I'll go next because when you brought up that, I started thinking about, okay, look, we've talked about a lot. We've talked around that subject a lot on the cast. I was like, when I've answered something similar before, it all kind of comes down with this theme is I really like to see it happen, like whatever my plan is or whatever my opponent's plan is. Mm-hmm. I love when either of them happen. Like, I really loved watching Aaron's no affiliation Thanos bullshit. Like, I really enjoyed losing to that.
Jeremy really enjoyed it too.
Like, the reason why I enjoyed it is because I was like, wow, somebody found a corner of the room that no one else has seen, or at least no one that my knowledge has seen. And so as soon as I saw that happen and it works, I was like, that's so exciting. Like, I love that when I leave the game store, I want to know that the thing that I brought that I was trying to do worked or didn't. But I'm equally satisfied, sometimes even more so, if I see somebody else bring something that worked or didn't. And so I love to. That's probably the thing I would like to see the most out of every game is, did I see it work? And some of my favorite games that I can ever think of, like individual games, are always ones where me and my opponent were both doing that, like we were trying something, and we got to find out if it works or not, and we were able to talk the whole time and enjoy that process of exploration. So I guess that's the thing that I do. Like, that's the thing I wanted in this game, is to explore. Just to explore concepts and ideas.
So, like,
Cool.
Would one of your favorite things be when two people bring brand new lists and you're both just like, never played this before, let's go?
Yeah. Yeah, like I really enjoy that. Or when somebody brings like a character combination, they're like, I think this will work, and I'm like, cool. I want to see it. Let's see how it goes. Because I even love table talking like afterwards. Like that didn't work. Like let's reflect and think about why it didn't, or what could we do? Ooh, what if we did this? That's another thing I love. That exploration it's something that I get to do in games like this, where there's so many combinations of effects. Any game that lets me have that.
I also love finding like combos and stuff in the game and using them. I feel like I'm really good at finding stuff that works well together and like panning for it. I think you definitely pan for gold harder than I do. For me, it's mostly about I don't want to play stuff that I feel like is, I don't know, mainstream or normal. Mm-hmm. It's just like, it doesn't feel like mine anymore. If I see a bunch of other people doing it, it kind of like loses its luster. And I don't know why that is. I can't put my finger on it. It's not about like I don't want to play something other people are playing. I just enjoy the unique interactions I get from a game, I think. And so when I'm playing, the most important thing to me is that I play a game that we're both making decisions that are directly influencing the game.
That's the crux for you for sure, yeah.
I feel like if we're just following the formula and rolling dice that are basically predetermined, I really lose interest in the game. And so, like, lately MCP's kind of felt that way a lot for me, is like just follow the formula and and then whoever's going to win is going to win. And I feel like in War Machine of the past, there was a large stretch of time where you could put any cohesive unit on the table and pilot it to a semi-competent record. And it's you just needed the tools to perform, and other than that, you could play almost anything. And now you wouldn't have the highest chance of winning, but you would be able to accomplish your goals. And I feel like in MCP, it's almost like you're on a railroad, like a little bit. Like you have to have these like set things, and it's not like a set number of models. It's more about the strategy. It's like you have to play the strategy, or else you're just going to lose. I don't like that about it in its current state. So I'm hoping that we'll get a bit of a shakeup in the future. But I think that's really what I want. I want to play a game and have my opponent does something that makes me completely reevaluate my turn. But then I have the ability to respond by finding a good plan of my own. And we just reverberate off of each other for the whole game. I really want that interaction.
Whenever I hear you've said it before too. You said you love to go reflect back on games you played over the course of like a day or like a tournament, and you will often glow and you feel so good about that game, right? Where you felt like both you and your opponent were making choices. Like that was good.
The closest thing I've had lately was at Squad Goals. I think it was my 4th round opponent. He was playing Convocation. Was very much that way. We were both just constantly doing things and completely changing the status quo of the game every time we took a turn. And that would immediately affect the opponent's turn, and we had to just constantly reevaluate everything the entire game. And so that was one of the more interesting games I've played in a while.
Aaron,
what about you, Aaron?
On this?
Yeah, why do you play, Aaron?
Well, you know me. I play because I want to win, kick your ass, and take a bunch of money, so that's about it.
No matter what. That's what we call you.
There you go.
He's the guy that's been stealing all the fucking chips.
That's interesting, Aaron. And do you know the first time I ever played you? I remember it very clearly. Do you remember?
I
remember it very clearly.
My dementia is very well set in by now.
He doesn't even look up from the table. Yeah, it's like he might remember the models you had.
I think this was, I don't know how many games you had, but I remember specifically playing you because you brought something innovative. I learned about a thing that happened. It was a very simple combination where you were playing Steve 1 and all control-y stuff. That was the plan.
Okay.
And it was one of your earliest list concepts. And I remember going like, oh, wow, this is really cool. Like I remember learning something from that game. And that's why I was excited. That's why I remembered it. That's why I remember the first game I ever played you was I left there. I saw it. I saw him do a thing. I saw it happen. And I really like that. So so you do explore chunks of the game. Are you just exploring those chunks to win? Do you get a satisfaction from exploration as well?
I am probably more invested in my opponents having a good game than anything else in the game. I want to be mentally stimulated. I want, just like Jeremy said, it's a social interaction between two people that should be fun for both, right? We should be talking, laughing, having a good time. The game is just the paradigm that allows us to have an interaction. You know, trying to think if the innovation.
I guess I just want to throw this out there. I don't, from the outside looking in, this is what it appears to be from me, is more so that you just get bored with things and you want to play new stuff. And so I feel like your exploration of the game is more about you getting use out of the things you've purchased and like exploring as opposed to like trying to come up with anything specific.
Yeah, I'm definitely not trying to come up with the next, super meta gonna take down the world list. Mm-hmm.
More along the lines of, I bet I can play 500 games this year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So let me give you a follow-up question that's easier and kind of more personal to it. Like, for me, my competitive nature of kind of with board games and needing kind of that social thing, whether it's golf or board games or darts, whatever. Like, I always want to be doing something in a versus kind of thing. Like, my dad never let me win anything. Like, if it was arm wrestling, it was full blast. Like, I'm 4 years old. Oh, I lost again. My dad's a giant. Like, didn't fucking care. Lost. And then I finally got some wins in. I'm like, oh. But, like, mine 100% came from my dad.
Do not allow yourself to become addicted to the winning.
Oh, man. Nope.
For you will grow.
Nope. Held underwater until I was strong enough to get out of it. Like, Jesus Christ.
That's funny. Yeah, I think the first exposure I had to gaming and competition was a friend of my mom's would play chess with me, and he taught me how to play chess. And I was not particularly fond of chess in any way, but it was just like the only thing to do that was beyond, watching TV. And so video games, we always played cooperative games. Like there was never versus games really. Maybe racing games occasionally, but I hated racing games. So chess was the only outlet I had for that. And I didn't mind losing. I had fun playing, but it was just mostly about the engagement. Aaron, what you were going to say?
I can say I think I actually stopped being competitive about 7 to 8 months ago. I know we talked about it a little bit on cast, but I think I hit that crossroads and took a hard right because I did not prep a competitive list for LVO. I have not been grinding TTS since. I just have no desire to refine a list to be the best that I can be at a competitive tournament. That's just not something that interests me anymore, but it has in my entire life up until, like I said, about 7 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it has anything to do with MCP specifically, or it's just games in general?
I think it's just a mindset in games in general. Because for Judgement, I mean, I'm exploring that game system, but I've also identified what I think is extremely good, and I'm not bringing that and honing and refining it on Monday nights. So I think it's just a general attitude.
I could be wrong. I feel like it's more about the state of the games that I play. Like I've only dabbled in Judgement, but I really feel like there is a hunger deep inside of me that needs to be filled, but I just don't have an outlet for it right now. Like I want to grind games. I want to compete. I want to challenge myself, but I just don't feel I have an option to do that at the moment. Like I am desperate for an outlet for that feeling, but I don't feel like I get rewarded for doing that in MCP. And that was the biggest thing about War Machine, like beyond all the things I loved about the game, is I felt that no matter how much time, effort, and just sheer determination you poured into War Machine, there was a equivalent reward given back to you for the experience that you had gained. I don't know if you guys agree, but that's how I always felt, is that it was an infinitely deep pool of learning in War Machine because the game was so complex and there was such a deep pool to get into. And so I missed that.
I agree.
I would disagree with that with War Machine, only in this much. I felt there was a ceiling at which if you knew that you were on that ceiling level or past it, and your opponent was on this level or past it, I felt like you could... you guys remember the Sherlock Holmes Game of Shadows where Moriarty and Sherlock play a whole game of chess?
Shadow boxing mentally.
Yeah, they play a whole game of they play everything in their mind, Like, I felt like you could do that with War Machine, is that both players could sit down and go, I'll do this, and this, and you will do this, and this, and I will do this, and this, and we will win most likely this way. Barring some critical failure, like double ones.
Like, there's always the RNG involved.
Right.
And so what I would refer to that is, that's the book in chess. Is like, you've gotten to the point where you've memorized the book, which is just the book of best moves. And so you get to a point where it's like, I'm now not going to make an obvious mistake. And so, therefore, the merit of our armies is going to determine the winner.
Right.
Like, who has the better matchup in this exact example? Because there's dozens of different lists you could be playing at the time.
And that's the part where I felt.
I think that's fair.
Choking.
In my experience, there was another level beyond that where you could get specific matchup experience that would get you beyond it. Mm-hmm. And so, like, if I've just played like against Lich 2 300 times, and you'd only played with Lich 2 100 times, but we're both equally skilled players, that would give me an edge that you wouldn't have, to where I could play outside the box. I would throw the script away and play the game completely differently. And that would give me such an advantage in the situation that I could get those points back. I could get back to even or advantaged ground.
Right.
And I had done that a lot. Like, I thought I was playing an actively underpowered army, and so I felt like I had to do that against the better factions. And I felt like I was able to achieve that a lot of the time. Where I was just like, I'm just so practiced with what I have that you even though that you're advantaged mechanically, I can still get ahead.
That's interesting that you feel that way about War Machine, but not MCP. I think that's interesting.
I don't think that exists in... I think there's still a level of it, but it's such diminishing returns. Once you get to the point of the book, right? I've memorized what makes you win in MCP. I've memorized what the mistakes are and what the good plays are. Then it's just like, okay, well, all that it comes down to is that Rogue 1v1's Crimson Dynamo. And you're like, but there's no way I can influence that. There's no, like, minutia positioning change I can make that changes the math. It's like, no, we both have to stand on this objective point in the middle of nowhere, and one of us is going to spike a roll before the other one, and we're going to lose that point. And that's going to so retroactively affect the game, because you just now have a scenario lead, and I have to play the game completely differently. And I don't think that there's skill that can overcome that. I don't think the best players versus competent players can overcome that void of RNG. That doesn't mean that, like, anyone is going to win. Like, you still have to be good. You still have to make good decisions. You have to bring good lists. But I also, at the same time, have no interest in just copying the best list. So, when you're also taking a disadvantage for playing not the best thing, I think that really limits your ability to compete.
Interesting. I feel like MCP has so much more, by orders of magnitude, so much more combinations of possibilities in any game, in any, like, list or roster than War Machine ever had. I feel like
Really? That's crazy to me that you think that.
Because War Machine had affiliations. The model ranges, you could at most
I mean,
play...
are we going to argue that you don't have to play affiliated in MCP to compete?
What I'm saying is that in MCP, I can literally take any of the characters and put them as my 7th, 8th,
like,
and 9th
technically
characters.
speaking, you could just make more combinations.
Right, and what I'm saying is, I think that 1,000, what you're talking about, like the 100 games versus the 300 games. I feel like that difference could be done in MCP, and I think it's interesting that you feel that way. And I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just
I'm not trying
you started
to
with this
say
is how
anything
I feel.
Negative either. Like, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. It's just the way the game is. But let's throw the depth of roster making out the window for a second. Mm-hmm. Just talking about reps. So if you played Green Goblin Spider Foes 400 games, you're saying you wouldn't have hit massive diminishing returns after a set number of games?
Well, specifically, your example was like Green Goblin Spider Foes into X list, but I was nervous.
Exactly.
About.
Yeah, like you're playing against Avengers. You play 100 games versus Avengers. You don't expect at some point you'll hit the point where it's like, I've memorized the formula. I understand how this matchup works. I don't think there's anything left to learn here.
I think, with all the different combinations of, different possible combinations of scenarios on top of the different combinations of models that my opponent could be taking or I could be taking, I think you could learn a lot in the 100 games. I don't think would you be approaching, would it be a fraction of a fraction of a fraction every time like you should see in every game system? I think but I think you would still be learning. I think
I disagree with that opinion, but I don't think you're necessarily wrong. I don't agree.
I guess also what you said before was apt. I think it was real, which was when my opponent played 100 games of Avengers and I played 300 games or 200 games into Avengers with my Spider Foes, he would expect to win because his 100 games against a variety of opponents told him that he should usually win against Spider Foes, but he was wrong because I had played so many more games specifically into him because I wanted to win.
Right. And I think that's a valid thing. Like, there is information there.
Right.
The thing I feel about MCP is because the scenarios force your play to such a massive degree that there is no plays I can make. My options are follow the script. Like, I have to put models on these objectives. Maybe you could come up with a strategy where it's like, I'm going to do refused flank and ignore this objective completely and over control this one. Like, that's a legitimate like strategy choice you can make. But there's a very limited number of those with the way the scenarios are set up.
Yeah.
And so once you've memorized the book, it's like, well, I only have so many decisions I can even make. I have 4 models, and I have to control these 3 objectives to stay in the game. And so it's like, with that formula, you can only do so much. It's like, and I feel like in MCP, you are a lot more free to make outside the box style plays.
You mean War Machine, right?
Sorry, War Machine, yeah. And so that would allow you to experiment more and learn more outside the box style thinking, and that you don't really get in MCP.
I think the model count does absolutely have something to do with it, because
100% it does, but it's combination of the model count and the objective count, because the game is so fast on scenario scoring that you can't just abandon them, right? Like, you have to play to some degree,
right?
So
okay, you got a Mojoverse? Is that what, don't we have 4 Mojoverses? What's the next one?
We do. You ready for the next one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Pizza toppings. Aaron is up first.
Are we going like toppings combinations or just
Nope,
one
single
solitary topping?
One topping. So if you want to do a combo, you'll have to wait till the end, because you'll get 2 picks in a row as picks. Was it 6 and 7, something like that?
If I can only pick one topping to put on pizza, it's Canadian bacon.
Is that different than ham?
Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm going to go with sausage. I like me some sausage on pizza. Jeremy.
I think just going with pepperoni is fine.
I knew you were going to take pepperoni. I like pepperoni. It's just a little greasy sometimes.
That's why you take Canadian bacon.
I do like me some Canadian bacon. All right, Parker, you got 2 picks.
I'm going to go with one I just discovered. It's amazing on pizza. Banana peppers.
I hate you.
Banana peppers are amazing on pizza. And the next one I'm going to go with is... I'm going to go with artichokes. I love artichokes on pizza.
You guys already took winning
the
this one.
You are the worst.
You guys already took the meats one I like.
Fuck. Banana peppers and artichoke. Holy fuck.
Remind me to never go to a party Parker hosts.
God damn. No wonder you don't like pizza.
I like
feathers and
I like
oyster.
If there was one thing to put on a pizza,
what do you want
it would
your
be Italian
pizza, sir?
sauce.
Chicken vaginas and sardines. Like,
this is a draft, you jerks. You took the ones I would put on pizza. You're like, no one wants banana peppers. Well, of course. You put it. Good God, banana peppers on pizza tastes amazing.
No,
and you guys took
the
three meats I would put on a pizza. So
moving on. Jeremy, Jesus Christ,
Bacon
is good. Now I'm curious. It doesn't matter for the list, but bacon bits or bacon slices.
If they're fully cooked, slices are amazing.
Okay, I prefer bacon bits, but it's a good choice.
Double cooking bacon
I'm gonna go.
is sometimes okay.
Yeah. Go with meatballs. You ever had sliced meatballs on a pizza? That's fucking delicious.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Aaron, you got your coveted back-to-back. You can now choose pineapple.
But they're separate. Fucking
yeah.
God, and not Parker.
No, Parker isn't good enough for pineapple.
I don't like pineapple.
It's going to be barbecue chicken. And my third one is fried egg.
I have not tried that.
Fucking amazing.
All right, green peppers.
Ugh.
Solid,
peppers are
solid
delicious.
respect.
It's just enough to break like the greasy consistency with the fresh veggies, but not enough to pollute it with bad flavor.
Yeah, green peppers and ham is one of my 2 go-tos on like
I usually get pepperoni. I usually get pepperoni, sausage, and green peppers when I'm ordering like an a la carte because the green peppers will balance out the pepperoni without ruining the flavor. It's very good. Jeremy, final pick.
Both of these are. I have 2 that I'm sure y'all will hate. One of you will.
Well,
Black
you only
olives.
get one, so.
Love black olives. It's on my second pizza.
It's on my second pizza.
Well, I get
right.
green egg. I get green peppers and ham, or chicken black olives.
All right, Parker. Should I just pencil you in for broccoli, or what do you got?
I put broccoli on a pizza before. It's not terrible.
I bet you
Oh
have.
my
I
god!
bet he has.
Um,
I'm sure he has.
Brussels sprouts.
That actually sounds kind of awesome, but I've
God
never had
damn
that.
it! He doesn't even get a third. We're moving on.
It's mushrooms. I like mushrooms.
Okay. I also hate mushrooms on pizza. Although I usually just don't eat mushrooms because I hate cooked mushrooms because they're soggy and gross. And so, but like fresh mushrooms are different. I don't know. Depends. Oh man, it's hard to call this one. I think personally I should automatically win, obviously, but you got some good ones on here.
I have never been a meat lovers pizza guy ever. Like in my whole, even when I was a kid, everybody was like, "I want pepperoni pizza." I was like, "You guys got like Supreme here? I want sausage."
No,
and
I
veggies.
think that's a fair opinion to have. Like even sometimes, like I used to love meat lovers when I was a kid. Now it's like it's kind of too much. Like let's dial it back. I can't taste anything but just meat, and a lot of times the meat is overcooked and like I don't know, rough and like hard because it's like practically burnt because it's on top.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's definitely good to have some other stuff on there. But like I've never even seen anybody eat banana peppers or artichokes on a pizza. So all right. I'm going to use the restroom real quick, but feel free to keep talking about your honorable mentions for pizza if you want, or whatever, obviously.
Best pizza place. I like Minsky's. Minsky's is really good.
Never had it.
Oh.
The one that introduced me to banana peppers on a pizza, the first place I've ever seen that as an option, was now my favorite pizza piece locally is Glory Days. You ever had Glory Days pizza?
Mm-mm.
I like Glory Days pizza.
So, as someone responsible for feeding a family, we do cheap ass pizza. My actual favorite is probably Little Caesars, which is gonna get me hate fucked off the internet, but that's okay. The one we go all the time is Domino's because the 2 mediums for $6.99 each or whatnot can't be beat for pizza for cost.
Yeah.
I also like to eat cardboard that has grease on it.
Dude,
Domino's, so I don't know if you know,
yeah.
I grew up back when Domino's actually was fucking cardboard.
Yeah, it was.
And
just
they actually
terrible.
came out with a series of ads that were like, you know what? We tasted our pizza. It's shit. We're reformatting the whole thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys remember those ads, but they were on in like the early 2000s.
Yeah, I think I remember that.
And so before then, Domino's was really bad. After that, I think when they redid their recipe and decided to actually make pizza, I actually really like Domino's. It really likes perhaps too strong, but I like it. I think Domino's is good. And if my family isn't around, I will get Little Caesars because that breadsticks and sauce is pretty good.
Oh God. When I was in high school, my family was homeless, so the only breadwinner of my family was my sister, who was old enough to have a job, unlike me. And so 100% of our family's income for it's 9 months was my sister's part-time job at Little Caesars while she was in high school. And so we ate literally nothing but Little Caesars for 8 months because we didn't have money for food. And I cannot eat Little Caesars anymore. It makes me sick.
Mm.
It is fucking disgusting. Just smelling crazy bread makes me nauseous.
Mm.
Eat it 3 meals a day for 8 months. Let me know if you still like it.
Okay.
I will agree with you though. Domino's secret of the trade, Domino's thin crust pizza is fucking delicious.
That's what my wife gets.
Yeah, it's really good.
I do like it. I do not hate Domino's these days.
I don't think I've had a Domino's pizza for, doing the quick
been a
math,
while.
20 years. I think
It's been a while.
Well, when I went to Lawrence, there's like 4 like artisanal pizza places, and they're all
and
like,
they're open late because it's college town.
yeah, and they're also like super cheap because it's for college kids at parties and stuff. So they either sell you like giant sheets for $12, or you can go get one really massive slice for like $3. So that's the only pizza, and I ate pizza like that constantly in Lawrence. And then
What was the cost on the banana pepper artichoke broccoli pizza?
that's actually when you left, I just explained that that's actually from a place right next to, not far from the Geekery, Glory Days.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm going to start a letter writing campaign. We're getting a place shut down.
You should have some Glory Days pizza. I challenge you. I think you'll like it.
Okay. Let's get a show of hands. Raise your right hand if you like Glory Days pizza. Raise it high.
God fucking damn it. I got about here.
It is good.
Okay. So moving into the next segment, we've got listener questions. We have some questions from our Discord listeners. If you want to be in our Discord and are not, and your name is not Will, please send me a message and I'll get you in the Discord. Or you can also find it, I think it's on our Facebook page. I'm not sure. I'll check on that. Okay. So we'll go around. Same thing. I'll go first. We'll just do normal introduction order on these. These should be mostly quick. Who do you want to see get a card rewrite the most in MCP? So basically a redesign. I would say... Oof, I hadn't thought about this at all. So many cool options. Damn it. I meant for these to be quick, but this really caught me off guard.
You're like, these will be really quick. Oh, fuck.
Yeah. Lightning round. 5 seconds only. Pause. God damn.
Can I go? I know which one is.
Yeah, go. You guys go. Jump in.
Mr. Sinister.
Ooh, that's a good.
He's
choice.
such a
That's
cool
really
guy,
choice.
but his card just is so meh. He's such a cool character, though. I'd like to see him redesigned.
Thanos. He needs to be redone.
That's a fun answer. I guess if we're going hate drafting, I would pick Black Cat, but that's not who I would want
Hate
to
drafting.
See. I just want her. I just want her to get banned. I don't care if she gets. Yeah. The problem is last time they changed her card, she got better. Yeah.
I mean, Thanos was mine, but if I have to pick a second one, it's Dormammu.
That's cool. God damn. I want to say like Venom, but I actually kind of like Venom's kit. He just needs more power generation. I'll go with Thor 1.
Thor 1 was on my
boring.
short list, too. Yeah.
Thor 1 should get a rework. And because we've got Thor 2, which is just different Thor 1 now. And we got Mighty Thor, who's just Thor 1 again. So.
Yeah, Thor 2 is just what I imagine Thor to be from the comic books, right? So what is Thor 1 now? Just meh?
Yeah, I think it would be a good rework.
Yeah.
All right, next up.
You guys are fucking crazy. I'm sorry. Thor 1? Really?
Yeah, he needs a rework.
Oh my god.
He already got one.
Because I don't think he is either fun or good. And he is a beloved character in the lore. So I think him getting a rework would be good. How about this? A more modern version of his card that is less clunky and weird.
Okay. I think there are about 30 characters that need it more than he does, but...
Sure. But I'm thinking from who would I want to see get changed the most? A lot of those bad characters I don't care about.
Got it. I will accept that logic.
All right. Next up, we have, what do you think the most fun and balanced Crisis is? I'm going to go with Mayor Fisk. Because it is fun.
How
and
drunk are you?
Not that drunk. This is only my third beer.
Okay.
You guys weren't drinking, so I got away with the White Russian per 30 minutes plan. That would probably have killed me. I would have been 5 White Russians in, like, guys, this is a mistake.
I'm so sick.
I'm going to go with Infinity Formula.
Cool. I like that one. Jeremy? What's your favorite mission?
Just say research.
My favorite?
Favorite mission. Yeah.
Favorite Extremis?
Okay. That's fair. Parker?
I'm going to say Demons Downtown.
You guys are all wrong.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I know.
I'm clearly the only sane person among us.
Artichoke.
You pick you pick the only one that you say you don't choose because of how you can just game the system and auto win by picking up a extract lead and sliding over to one side and hard winning. You pick the least balanced of the ones I think we all suggested.
Okay. I will accept your
it.
rebuttal
Wait,
while
what?
clearly denying it.
He picked Infinity Formula. What are you talking about?
Yeah, well, he instructed me that...
I'm confused because you said he picked a mission he didn't pick. That's why I'm confused.
No, he picked Infinity Formula, right?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, Infinity Formula is a secure.
It is.
Yeah.
I'm saying because my strategy on Infinity Formula is to get an extract lead and then turtle on one side, forcing my opponent to leave
But-
models.
That's assuming you don't know what the... Anyway, we're moving on. That's
Yeah,
fine. I don't understand the point, but that's whatever. Next one is, which affiliation do you think is underplayed in the current meta? So who is good but is not played?
It's Sentinels, by far.
Disagree.
Oh.
I think Avengers would probably be my answer. The problem is, our meta has always been very abnormal, and so what I see being played is probably not what is actually being played. I would say Spider Foes, but half the people at the store are playing Spider Foes, and so I don't know if that's a nationwide thing or not.
A lot of people are playing them now, I think.
That's kind of what I figured. And everyone else, all the other factions I think are good, are pretty famous for being good. So I think Avengers, there's a lot of room for Sam to come back into the meta, and I don't think anybody's playing him. Jeremy?
I think Midnight Suns is good, but nobody plays them.
Interesting.
Defenders
definitely knocked them down in popularity.
Yeah.
It's true.
I'm going to say Inhumans. I don't know if anybody's spent a ton of time with them since Black Bolt got reworked. I think it's really good. But
It's fair. Aaron?
I already said Sentinels.
Oh, okay. All right, next question.
That's what he always
Assplay?
says.
what?
Assplay?
Assplay?
Question mark?
I need to know hers or mine.
Yeah, I don't know. We're not going to answer that. It's
No?
answer, and
That's your
it's
own
whichever one you
question.
think. Yeah,
We're gonna
either or.
We're gonna have to go with yes.
All right. I'm going to answer sign up for Patreon to find out.
I give my shit away for free.
Yeah, I know. Onlyfeet.com.
I'll give this away for free. 0. Don't no. 0. No.
I actually need to clarify this. Does it count as ass play if you're just shoving jars of pickle in your butt?
Yes.
Then, okay. All right, that answers my question. All right, next up. Okay, we got early access to Dracula's card and are spoiling it for the entire world. We each get to reveal one of his superpowers.
What do we want Dracula to have is the question.
No. We have his card. We've read it. We've talked about it privately. So now he's asking us to reveal one of his powers. I guess I'll go first. He has Day of the Dampier, which makes him immune to sunlight.
Day of the Vampire.
He's
Jeremy,
not a
you're up
Dampier. That doesn't make any sense.
He is. Parker,
I don't
don't lie
understand
to
this.
our audience. They've waited this long for the spoilers. We need to give it to them.
Got it. Okay.
He has a superpower. It's pay 3, and bring MCP back to life.
Okay. He did say in here specifically you have to name the power, so he knows which one. Yeah.
It's Resurrection of the Dead.
Nice. Parker?
I'm going to call it Enchant Lesser Mind. He can.
No, you don't call it anything. Just read the card.
Oh, Enchant Lesser Mind.
Okay.
For 2 power, he can make a character move at speed.
Raise your right arm if you're good at acting.
I didn't understand the point of this question to begin with, so I am so lost.
Don't worry, that's coming through loud and clear.
I feel as if I'm holding on by the skin of my teeth. Here we go.
Aaron, you're up.
It is Day of the Dead. Spend 2 power, heal a friendly model within 3 for 3.
I have to bring this up because this is exactly what Parker is doing. I can't remember who all went with us. I can't remember if Parker was there. Did you go to Caspanitas with us? You did not, right?
No.
I think it was me, Jake, and a couple
No,
others.
I was not
Anyway,
there at Caspanita.
So we went to Feast of Blades in Denver. We went to Caspanitas afterwards, and we got seated in the magic show area. So we're in a little small theater by the waterfall of the restaurant. And there's this guy up there doing child magic show, right? To entertain the kids. And so he does this trick where he holds up a little tin can, like a coffee can. It's like the Folgers jars full of piss that Jeremy was talking about earlier.
Yep.
But he holds it, he's like, all right, lucky audience member, and he points at Spence, because we were there with Spence. And he's like, throw a coin. And Spencer, not getting that it's a trick, takes a coin out of his pocket and throws it at the magician. And he gets hit by the coin. And the guy's like, are you fucking kidding me? And he's like, okay. And then he's concealed in his hand, he's got coins, and he drops one in the bucket. And so the joke's supposed to be you're pretending to throw coins, and he's dropping them in the bucket, so it sounds like there's coins when there's no coins. Instead, he literally took a handful of change out of his pocket, because he still didn't get it, and threw an entire pocket full of change at the guy. The guy was like, you've got to be fucking shitting me. This guy just doesn't get it. And that's Parker.
Yep.
All right, next question. Most anticipated non-revealed upcoming release. For example, the Asgard box characters, we know their cards.
Wait, say the question again?
Who has been spoiled?
So it's
but
a
not
spoiled character that's not revealed,
Teased.
not spoiled.
Spoiled, but not
It's a
teased.
teased model, not a spoiled model. So we know the model coming out, but we don't know their card. Like example, Dracula. Except for us, we know the card, obviously.
Yeah.
So who is your most anticipated, and why is it Apocalypse? Follow-up question. Sorry.
So this is not one that I assume is going to be in the game. This is one we know is
Is coming out. They're on the release schedule. We just don't know what they do. Who are you most excited about? I'm going to go with Apocalypse. Jeremy?
Any of the monster set guys. I'm cool with that.
Yep.
It's Man-Thing.
Ooh. Oh yeah, we know what Parker's is.
Yep. Elsa fucking Bloodstone.
Elsa Bloodstone. Alrighty. How can the game change so that all factions have a chance to shine? I'm going to go with changing the base game format in some way, moving to a more pick ban style or a different scenario selection style that would allow factions that don't just prey on the scenario to excel. I think that would really help the game become more balanced. So, like, for example, going to a either reworking the scenarios or like going to a different way of selecting them. I think that would help a lot. Jeremy?
Reworking scenarios.
Ban Thanos.
And
Reworking
also ban
scenarios,
Thanos.
Ban Thanos. Hashtag ban Thanos.
I mean, obviously. That's
Parker?
number one.
I really liked some version of your elegant idea where different affiliations have different like allotments of outer affiliation possibilities. So you're like, if you're playing one of these super deep affiliations that feels like they have all the options, well then they actually literally can't play other options or only get like one model out of their affiliation.
Yeah, the example, I think I've said it on the cast before, but just as a summary, it's instead of doing affiliation lists, we do leader lists.
Yeah.
So every leader is effectively their own affiliation. So Sam would be an Avengers leader, but his roster of models could be completely different than like Hulkbuster or Steve's. And so you don't have to worry about, well, we can't make Black Cat a web warrior because she's broken with Miles. It's like, well, she's just only playable with Amazing Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. And so now there's no problem with Miles because you can't even use his leadership with her. And it just changes the game.
I also like the idea that if you pick Miles because he's the cheap one, well, you have to play more web warriors from his roster. So you literally can't have as many out of affiliation characters because you took a cheap leader to abuse that, right?
Right. And his affiliated models might be all the 4-point web warriors.
Right.
And so it's just different. Like you could completely change the game, and because it's all online, you can make game altering erratas by just taking somebody off of an affiliation list.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, guess what? Black Cat's not affiliated, so you have to use one of your like unaffiliated slots to take her, and it just changes the whole list.
It's kind of like it's one of the things they did with War Machine and Warcasters, right? Like you got like Warjack points that gave you functionally free points for your list. This is the opposite direction, but the idea is you would specifically be able to balance leaders and affiliations by allowing them to have more or less flexibility, which would be really cool.
Yeah. Aaron, do you have one?
A change to the splash mechanic. It could be something what you're talking about right now.
The
or
mercenary
something
figures.
But yeah.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because if you can't splash like at all of a sudden your affiliation becomes more important, right? And then you can maybe buff up the affiliations that are underperforming. Right. Anyway.
Now, clearly they'd have to do something else as well, because then some factions would just have all the tools, and like Avengers would just be advantaged because they have so many models.
Right.
But another thing I think would be cool, if anybody played War Machine, the advanced, what was it called? R&D? No, it was advanced deployments. I can't remember what they were called. There's basically a list of approved casters you could play for this format only.
ADR?
So it'd basically be ADR, yeah.
I forget what it stands for.
Advanced deployment roster? I think that's what it was. Anyway, so in this example, let's say we had Avengers. Well, in the current meta, like this meta cycle of 3 to 6 months, they could say, well, only Hulkbuster is an official leader. Or like only ASM is an official leader right now. And so factions that only had one leader would always have their leader be legal. And so you'd have to kind of like look at those or maybe just release new leaders for them. And so that would just be interesting because it would cause a cycle to start happening where all of a sudden, this roster that was being oppressed by a list, that list now isn't legal to play. So all of a sudden, that list is now able to explore the meta when it previously was shut out because of a bad matchup that was popular.
Yep.
And it would cause a constantly changing meta. So if people got tired of stagnant metas, that would go away. Okay, so John Paul George from Witty Banter decided to not follow the instructions for submitting a question, but because he wished me a happy birthday, I'll let him do it. We've got what is the one rule mechanic that you would change, and why would it make the game better? Mine's super easy, stealing objectives. It would obviously make the game better because it's the worst mechanic in the game.
It is to allow pre-measuring. Because
that's a good one.
All of a sudden, not all of a sudden, there was even a chat on the Danger Room probably 2 or 3 days ago, all about like what is Rhino's actual charge distance, or sorry, ability to robbery, right? And it's like, well, if you put down the long plus the 5 plus this, and the problem is, I'm not going to call them good players. It doesn't mean they're not good, but quote unquote good players who take this game super seriously have a shit memorized.
Yeah.
Right, so if I go this and this and this is the like Psylocke short plus a base plus a range 2. Like I just go to this tick mark on the long that I didn't mark. I just know where it is because
they marked it for me.
Right.
Perfect.
I wish that whole thing just went away from the fucking game.
Yeah. Perfect example is if you drop an objective and I'm within a medium move template of you, I can pick it up. That is something that most players at this point know. But the first person to do it is they're all trying to guess what the distance is. And it's just my personal option, even if they don't allow pre-measuring, which I think they should, even if they just let you have one proxy base down, that would fix all the problems. You could do whatever you wanted and you still wouldn't clutter up the board. I think. Sure.
I think that's what I meant. But a combination of proxy base and having 2 or more movement tools, fucking plan a chess clock and let people do whatever they want with their goddamn time.
Exactly. In fact, we might even start doing that at our local events and just see if people like it.
Okay.
Jeremy?
I hate DR to 0.
So you think minimum 1 on everything?
Yep.
Even Thanos?
Thanos isn't
fucking got him. All right, Parker.
DR even Thanos?
I actually disagree. I think DR to 0 is fine. I think it should be on very specific models.
Oh, it already
should
is.
Definitely be it should be a premium. Yeah, only the models Jeremy hates. It should be on models that have a way to be counterplayed against, probably. But yeah, Parker, you're up.
I was gonna say neoprene terrain.
Flat terrain.
Yeah, I think it's dumb that I can't.
That's not a game mechanic.
You can use, for example, isn't there a game mechanic that says
there's actually no rule against neoprene terrain? You could totally do it.
Okay.
Well, just nobody does.
Okay. Well, there is a rule that says if I can't fit the lip of my Scarlet Witch on the, even though Scarlet Witch could definitely hover above the lip of this hotel that I'm standing on top of, since I can't do that with my model, I can't move there. So I would. So
that's the thing you like is that there's basically places of impassable terrain because of the way the base mechanic is.
Right.
You would like to change that, and the way you would allow that to work is by having flat terrain.
Right. I would say also things like a size 2 model balancing on a car. You're like, well, I can balance on the top, but I can't balance on the hood. You're like, I just don't, because the model tips over.
Yeah, so that's not clean. That's very clunky. And I think it'd be easier to say you can't stand on cars. I think I would prefer that.
Right.
Or you should make cars that I can physically stand on. One or two.
Either everything is.
Go ahead. I say that doesn't solve the problem with the apartment building.
Right.
Yeah.
Or sorry, Sanctum Sanctorum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. You put a base in the middle, and they can't be attacked with from range to anyone.
Like
no one else can actually fit on the on top, and they can't be attacked. That is just complete and utter horseshit.
Yeah. Or just the immense difficulty of playing with the Quinjet. It's like one of the coolest pieces of terrain, and you never see them because it's literally impossible.
I love the cinematic feel of the game, absolutely, but it does make the game really arbitrary and capricious sometimes.
I actually really like that you can't hover off the edge of terrain because it makes the game so much cleaner. there is no argument if you're on or off or touching or not touching. You're either on it or you're fucking not on it. It just makes it so clean.
Well, the hovering bit is not the part I'm worried about. It's just like if there's a little lip on the top of that, right? That literally pushes my model backwards. So I could be contesting, but I'm not.
So you're saying like the awning on the kiosk?
Yes, for example.
So like, can I stand under this or not?
Well, yeah, that kind of shit.
Yeah.
Like,
well, that technically you can't. You can't be under there anyway, so it doesn't matter.
But measuring that empirically is difficult, and it slows the game down.
Which is why most people say that stuff doesn't matter. Right. I agree.
So I would just like to. So I think neoprene, for example, takes care of it. But
sure, I was just pointing out that the question is, what game mechanic would you change? Like what rule? And that's not a rule. So
I thought there was. I've never seen neoprene on a board, so I thought there was a rule.
It's just nobody's ever made it because the terrain that they make is so accessible, and normally that was always been the problem in the past. But I understand what you're saying. Yeah. Next question. Go ahead.
No, it's fine.
Okay. How did we meet, and why do we think the friend/gaming dynamic worked so well? Well, it doesn't. We actually hate each other, and this is just a performance we put on. We actually don't talk outside of this.
Yeah, that's bold of them to assume anyone's friends.
The Patreon money is just so lucrative that we put up with the people we hate.
Wait, we get Patreon money?
It's so lucrative.
Hold on, wait a second.
So lucrative. So I can answer this for Parker and Jeremy, and then Aaron, I'll let him do his. I don't know if Parker and Jeremy knew each other before we did. I assume he did. But I started going to tabletop to play War Machine because the 31st Century crew had kind of died off over time. And Jeremy was there kind of being a press ganger, which is like a volunteer for the game, but kind of not at the same time. And I just met him and we started playing. And Jeremy kicked my butt for like 3 months straight. But I got somebody who I could play against that would actually challenge me, which is great because I was doing the same thing, but my store, I was just fucking crushing everybody into the ground with no challenge. So it was nice to play somebody who was at my level or better. And so we started getting better together, and we played a lot of War Machine. And then Parker started showing up. I think he had just had a kid, which is why he was absent when I first got there.
I don't remember exactly the timeline when that happened, but I definitely started playing a tabletop before I had a kid because I was traveling. Yeah. I was traveling from Lawrence because I only played in Lawrence at a very tiny store. The same thing, very, big fish, small pond.
Yeah.
And so I remember the very first event I ever went. I think you guys may have attended. It was a War Machine tournament in Lee Summit, Missouri. And I was like, whoa, this game is so much bigger than I thought it was. I got crushed. And that's when I started going to, making the trip to tabletop. I also moved to like the side of Lawrence that let me get on K7 and get to tabletop in like 25 minutes. So that also helped a lot. But then I was there every week.
Parker, I think I actually met you at 31st Century.
You did, yeah.
When James was there playing games, and he had like called you up to play. But we had never actually played a game against each other until tabletop, I think. Yeah.
And I remember the first game against Jeremy when I knew we would be friends because I tried to do something like I made a mistake and he went, no, you made a mistake. We're just going to play this game. And I was like,
we're going to play the game where I get to beat the fuck out of you because you made a mistake.
Yeah, we're just going to play the game that we're just going to play this game. And I go, because I was so used to, kind of.
You were like, let's just re-rack. I made a mistake, or let me undo it.
Or let me just step back once, because that was my little, meta. Yeah. Everybody just kind of did that to make the most optimum game. And Jeremy was like, no, we're going to play with the mistakes we made. And I was like, oh, this is fucking awesome. I was immediately
remembering that shit. You're like, oh yeah, I'm not doing that again.
Yeah, I was immediately enamored. Also, the thing that made us, I think, the friend part was there was a ritual where we always went around the corner from the old tabletop location and went to Buffalo Wild Wings, and that was a really consistent ritual, and a lot of really good times were had at that Buffalo
That was
Wild
one
Wings,
of my most love-hate events in our history, was B-Dubs night at tabletop, because we would all go, we'd play one 45-minute game that we rushed through, and a lot of people would be like, oh, this is almost over, I'll just scoop. And then we would go to B-Dubs, everybody would get back and like, oh man, I got the meat sweats, I'm going home. And we would, nobody would actually play.
Oh, I know.
And so I hated that. But I also liked going to B-Dubs with everybody. I just wish we could separate the two and get games and B-Dubs. It was fine. Oh, do you guys remember there was that awkward kid from like Russia that had like he was like an exchange student or something. But he showed up and he tried to get into War Machine. And he went to B-dubs with us one time because normally he wouldn't because he was a kid, he didn't have any money. So he went to B-dubs with us and he ordered ghost pepper wings, not knowing what they were because he had he's like new to the country. And he ordered ghost pepper wings and we were like, oh damn. Nice. And he's like, oh yeah. And he didn't realize we were referring to the spice. And so he eats one and it just turns beet red, but he doesn't want to show weakness. So he just like is quiet in the corner. And eventually I'm like, are you okay? And he's like, these are a little spicy. Like, yeah, they're ghost pepper wings. And he's like, oh, I didn't know that was a thing.
Oh, yeah,
and so I ate one for him because like, oh, I told me I'll eat one. So I'll also suffer.
I remember that.
Mm-hmm. I also remember that bald bartender that used to serve us a lot. He was always watching college sports and he would not look at you when he was taking your order. He'd be looking at the TV watching.
Oh yeah,
it was hilarious. But he was dead on it. He would never. We had like 8 people. We all ordered a side, a drink, a water, an entree, and like it. And he was like, and he just walk away, wouldn't say anything. Come back, all your food be done in 10 minutes. You're like, damn,
perfect, everything, no mistakes. Yeah. He was a savant for sure.
Mm-hmm. Aaron, do you want to say how you met us?
I wish I could remember.
I remember the first time I met you.
Okay, great.
I know it's impossible for you physically to remember that, but I'll fill you in.
Okay.
Richard had told me about you many a times.
Many a time.
Many a times. He's like, I know this guy. He's a senior citizen, but hear me out. He's pretty cool. I'm not kidding. That's basically how he introduced you. And he's like, oh yeah, I play with Aaron. I was like, why do you play with, who's this Aaron guy? And he's like, oh, he plays War Machine. He's from Warrensburg. I'm like, where the fuck is Warrensburg? He's like, oh, it's like an hour and 20 minutes away. It's like, okay, so I'll never meet this person. And it was like 6 months to a year later. And he's like, oh yeah, Aaron's here. I was like, where's this Aaron guy? And he pointed you out to me. It was right after we had expanded the geekery into the second room. And I walked over and I looked at your models. I think you were playing Legion. I was like, hey, what's up? I'm Brandon. You go, hello, I am Aaron. And then you went back to playing your game. And I don't think we talked again for like 6 months.
I am Aaron.
And then you started coming up with Jason. And I had known Jason from War Machine times. And eventually you guys showed up for War Machine tournament. And you were the only ones that showed up. And I was like, hey, you guys want a MCP demo? and you're like, I guess. And the rest is history.
Yeah.
So romantic.
That was after the podcast started, is when we really started talking.
Well, he wanted to live with some really awesome sweet dudes he learned about.
Yeah. We're looking for some other sweet dudes to hang out in our party mansion.
I also like a party. You can't like a party too.
Aaron got our dick flyer.
Yeah.
Our dick flyer.
No, it's a bicep. No, I thought you changed it to a dick.
Yeah.
Right.
Aaron, I can tell you when I decided you're my favorite MCP player of all time. When you look directly into your opponent's eyes, who is also Brandon, and told him I play Mission Objective. I was like,
save it. Balls? Save it. That's for later.
Oh, okay, it's better. Okay.
Oh. That was funny though.
That was the. I was like, this is the best moment in this game. It'll
Stone cold
for me.
Yeah. All right. So moving on to the next question. Oh, and the reason it works so well is we're all the same kind of fucking psycho, where we are willing to throw away basically our entire lives to play games. Because gaming is life.
Gaming is life.
That was the second part of the question. Why does our dynamic work so well?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so next up we have from John. If you had to start your MCP journey over again, what is something you would do differently? So I'm going to interpret this as we go back in time to when we first got in, as opposed to what Parker asked earlier is getting into the game now. And I would say I would spend a lot more time playing what I enjoyed in the moment. Because so often I will change to a different list that's doing well because I'm worried my opponents are getting tired of playing against it. And that hasn't happened in a while. But like, my time with Brotherhood, when Brotherhood first got popular, like they actually got all their releases. Like I played a lot of Magneto when he first came out, but not very often was it actually in Brotherhood. Or it was a fair amount, but it wasn't like specifically the plan. I would play all kinds of weird stuff, but when Brotherhood got like Juggernaut and Rogue came out, I only played them for like a month, and then I switched off of it because everybody else was playing them. And then I came back to them a couple times, like intermittently, but didn't really stick with them very long because I was like, I don't want to play Brotherhood because everybody has to play against Brotherhood all the time. And so I didn't play it very often. Same thing with Malekith. I loved playing the Malekith Go Tall list, but so many people hated playing against it that I only did it for like 3 months. I kind of got off of it. And I really regret not playing it more, because now I just want to play those lists, but they're bad now. So, Jeremy, do you have something?
What I regret? I know what it is.
Playing against Thanos?
No, it's not a regret as much as it is something that I think ruined the game for me, and this was a whole nother subject. TTS, I think, ruined the game in the sense of you can solve shit because so many people are on it. I mean, you have 1,000 monkeys and 1,000 typewriters, and I hate it. I wish. So
you're saying that as a community we should have never done TTS, or
Correct.
You're saying that you should have never done TTS?
No, as a community.
Okay.
I think that tabletop games have discovery and everything, and I think that I love the idea that if Canadians traveled here, you get to see a different game. I hate how everything merged into one just pile, and everyone decided it.
I definitely think there's a different mentality and a different way people approach the game for TTS, which gives you very different results. And I personally am not a TTS person, but I don't have anything against people that are. I think if they want to play TTS, that's probably fine. But I do agree that it definitely affects the game as a whole. And some things positively, like during the lockdown, it gave a lot of people an outlet to play the game.
Yeah, the game would have died.
But at the same time, it might have. I honestly don't think it would have, because TTS didn't drive sales for them when everything was shut down. You can say that it kept the community alive, but it didn't keep the community alive around me. Nobody I fucking knew played TTS. It didn't affect us at all.
Yeah, that's true.
And so I'm sure there are areas where that happened, but it definitely wasn't us directly.
Okay.
Like most people I know that play TTS was well after COVID.
And we also only had COVID for about 2 weeks in our region, so...
That's not true.
I mean...
we, as in the Midwest, were definitely less affected by it than, the coasts were. There's no question about that. But the population of games, as somebody who worked full-time at the store, the entirety of that period, we didn't fully recover from COVID until this year. As population base. Yeah. We were more popular right before COVID hit until, May of this year. And so it's just different, right? And so there was positive things from it, but there's also negative things. I don't think it's fair to ignore the negative things if you're going to talk about the positive things as well.
I guess the answer to the question is pick a game that wasn't on TTS. I don't like a game that's solved that I'm playing. I feel like that's what TTS did.
Yeah, I definitely think it made the way people approach the game much more methodical and emotionless, where it's just all I care about is the best thing, and nothing else is relevant. I definitely that's an online mentality that doesn't exist in the game store on its own. Anyway, though, Parker, do you have something?
One of the things I abhor is waste. I like my big model collection, but part of me it pains me to look at it because I know there are models up there that I have never played and likely will never play, and it's because of a combination of what I want to do and what I ever see myself having the time for. I think if I wave a magic wand, I would have loved to have known which models I would have actually been excited to ever play. I think I probably could have not bought several boxes. Yeah. No, I don't know half, but several boxes I could have not bought.
I'd say the problem for you specifically is I know that you love painting for gold and finding odd connections that most people don't explore. But on top of that, because you don't paint your own stuff, there's such a time lag from when you buy something and you get to play it. I think you would have hated that.
Yeah.
That you're
not
man,
buying everything? Or...
Yeah, because you would have been like, oh man, I want to play Bullseye in this list. And you're like, oh, but I don't own Bullseye because I didn't think I was going to use them. Fuck. And then you would just not play that and you'd be annoyed. And so I think over time there have been so many things you wouldn't have bought because you would have thought I could get away without it, that it would have really stunted your ability to build lists.
I guess it's just that for me, it's an opportunity frequency, right? I just don't have the frequency of games that I would love to have to explore everything that I have bought. And so if I could have known that, known how many games I'd actually get to play of MCP, I could have said, well, I probably didn't need to buy the Sentinels. I don't, I don't know.
No, I got you.
Not that they're not worth your time. It's that I don't think I'll ever play a game of Sentinels as it is. I don't.
But they're the best affiliation.
I'm just giving you a for example.
They're just the strongest. I know.
They're just the strongest.
They're just the
TTS.
strongest.
Anyway, moving on. Aaron, do you have one?
I don't really. I guess I kind of agree with Jeremy on the whole TTS issue. I don't know if the game is ever 100% completely solved, but it sure as hell accelerates the process towards getting there.
Yeah, I don't think they ever get solved, but I think it creates... the goal of TTS is to effectively solve the game, and even if they fail at doing so, it can almost spread the propaganda that it has. So even if the groupthink says, "Oh, that's the best list," and people are tired of trying to beat it, then it just becomes the best list because no one's going to actually try and stop it. Yep. And so I think it has created this mentality of, "Oh, they found the next broken thing. Wait for them to nerf it." And I don't know that that's true, but that's been my experience with the online community. All right. Next question. What is something you like about Parker? All right. So I think it's going to just be unanswered. So next up we have... I think just due to lack of other options, I'm going to go with the cut of his jib.
Thanks.
Yeah. I can tell you what I don't like.
This was not the question.
I don't like your face.
That was not
I don't like you hanging around my girl.
There you go. I like that. Yeah. I'll take that.
Jeremy, do you have a Parker like?
Don't like?
Yeah, that one.
No, it was the question was.
It was such an attempt at being nice to Parker, and it's just backfiring.
I want you to thank you, John, for asking this question.
John, hold on, let me look it up real quick. John, there's not 4,140 reasons that we should give him a compliment. There's more than that. That's just how many we have recorded. All right, Aaron, did you have a compliment you want to give Parker?
Yes, Parker is the best of us.
Oh, thank you.
I thought Parker was the rest of us. Okay, moving on. What are your pet peeves of things other players do at tournaments and events? Roll dice behind terrain, use unpainted models, eat while playing, etc.
I have so many.
Listed everything Jeremy hates. Let's see. So if we're talking about specifically tournaments and events, beyond just regular bad sportsmanship stuff. If you do anything fishy towards cheating, and not I think you're cheating, but you do something that could be interpreted as cheating, it really bothers me because and maybe I fail at it, but I really try to be very above board. When I roll my dice, I make sure I don't pick them up. And when I look up and you're immediately picking up your dice before I got a chance to see them, I'm like, okay, so now you're basically putting the ball in my court to call you a cheater. Or we're just going to keep doing this thing that is not really appropriate. It's gray area. It's like the rolling behind terrain would be a good example of that. I don't know.
Was it specifically opponent or just anybody at a tournament? Was
things other players do at tournaments.
This is kind of... Then I'll kind of tie this in. Players that get ruffled feathers whenever you want to call a judge, or one of the things I like about a judge at a tournament is they can be that third party to just arbitrate, right? I have a stake in the game. You have a stake in the game. Let's ask another adult who doesn't have a stake in this game to help us. And anybody who gets upset that I wanted that or the game needed that, I'm just kind of why? Why are you upset about that arbitration?
So I have never, as an adult, had that happen. I've been the person that didn't want to call a judge before due to social anxiety. But ever since I've become comfortable enough to have social interaction with people, I have never had an opponent be why are you calling a judge? That has never happened to me. Do you get that?
It's happened before.
Maybe I'm just so brazen about it, I don't even consider it, and maybe I'm just steamrolling people. But if I'll just raise my hand and scream judge without even consulting with my opponent, because it's not their call. I don't care if you don't want me to call a judge. I am calling a judge. But I've also been a judge, and so I know that the judges want you to call them as opposed to have that bad interaction.
And this was actually my biggest pet peeve. It's not really my opponents, it's really the judge. If I call a judge and they don't give me a decision, that is my biggest pet peeve at a tournament.
Oh yeah, that's absolutely insulting.
Because it has happened to me before where oh my gosh, when they say, "What do you guys think?" and I'm like, "Oh my god, that's not why I called you, man. If we could have figured this out, then it would have been done. And
Okay.
in MCP, I don't know if that's ever happened actually.
I can definitely see a judge just like there's a gray area and they don't know what to do, and there's like, well, what do you guys think? You're like, that's not why you're here.
Right. I need you to be an arbiter, and I need you to make a decision, pro or con. Like, put it against me, fine. But I don't want to be the person who decides this. This is why I called you. So it's really less my opponent. Although I have had an opponent get bent out of shape before because I called a judge.
I know one of them. All right, Jeremy, be alive. Is that your biggest pet peeve for your opponents? Aaron?
The only actual pet peeve I have is when people use double range maneuvers.
They break the rules.
Yep.
And because you don't actually call them on it, you just get annoyed.
Oh, no, I call them on it.
No, you don't call them on it. You inform them that it is illegal.
Oh, yes. I do not
That's
immediately
not the same thing.
require them to forfeit the game for creating an illegally aimed state
That's
intentionally.
not what I'm saying. I'm saying the way you approach it is, hey, like, did you know that that's actually illegal?
I do it that way, yes.
Yeah.
But
What
that's
you
the
should
only...
do,
What should I do?
you should just say, it's like, hey, man, can you not, in the future, illegally measure?
I don't know. I prefer Aaron's way.
No, because the way
passive-aggressive.
Aaron does it is he goes, hey, just so you know, that's actually not allowed by the rules. But he never says, I'd like you to stop doing it. And he's trying to be so overtly friendly about it to not come off as an asshole that people think it's one of those like, hey, did you know that the temperature in Hawaii is actually cooler than the temperature in Colorado? And you're like, what? Like, it's one of those, like, it does not register as like a complaint. It registers as a fun fact.
I don't know. I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true at all. I think
100% that's the case because I've watched him during tournaments, and his opponent's like, oh, huh, well, look at that, and they just keep doing it.
Oh, well,
Not
I guess
against me, I don't think. Maybe they'll just continue in other games.
But honestly, like, if somebody has a problem with, like, me checking range 1 when I put my model down to an objective that I'm placing next to, it's like, you know, you just have the game. I don't care. Like, I'm not going... Like, if it matters that much, it's whatever. I don't care. We're playing MCP, not, like, fucking launching missiles. It doesn't matter. If you can't eyeball roughly a range 1, then I don't think we should be playing anyway.
The only reason I think it matters...
I think there are times it definitely matters.
So, do you know how many times you are either in or out by just a hair?
Not often.
I don't know.
So
like almost
for me,
once a game.
like,
7 times.
It comes down to, do you know that you need to be in or not, right? Like, if I'm putting my model down, I know I need to be within range 2 of you, and it's that close. I just know that I know which one of the two is more important to me. I measure that one. I go to max distance. I'm either in of the other thing or I'm not. And so the fact that I can pre-measure it is irrelevant because the distance is either there or it's not.
But
most of the time.
If you're placing, you're not allowed to automatically place yourself max range 1.
Sure, if you're doing the place, but you can also measure to where the end of the range 1 is.
And then eyeball putting it down at the correct spot.
Or just mark it with your maneuver tool.
That's actually illegal.
Is it?
It is.
According to who?
Will Pagani.
Where did he post that?
Everywhere.
Okay.
Took out a Facebook
I'm just going to make sure that all of my opponents never have a range ruler or a maneuver tool on the tabletop while we're measuring anything else.
I got yelled at about it by my opponent.
Good for you.
During
I've had Will Pagani tell me at a War Machine tournament in which he was judging that my opponent is not allowed to place models on terrain. Will Pagani is a terrible judge. And I will tell that to him to his face.
Okay.
It's like, oh, I can't place my models on this hill that gives elevation bonuses? You're like, that is correct. You cannot stand there. I'm like, okay. So how does this game work then? Because you just completely invalidated the entire purpose of terrain. Anyway, Jeremy, did you have a pet peeve?
How long do we have?
I know. Just list things that don't annoy you. When your opponent buys you a beer.
No, honestly, a pet peeve is the classic. What's the meme? The actually meme.
The rules lawyer stuff where it's like, well, actually.
Yeah, that's really a pet peeve. Everything else is just tabletop etiquette. Like, breaking tabletop etiquette for me is really rough. I fucking hate it.
Yeah, I think the question is more about, like, what annoys you outside of, like, obvious stuff. Like, obviously, if your opponent is, like, being intentionally annoying or whatever.
No, I think the
if
one
they're
thing...
cheating, like...
Not being there on the table, like you're in the middle of a tournament
Not
game
being,
and
not
someone,
focusing.
yeah, not being present, like they're talking to their
Yeah.
friend the whole time, or like just being on their phone, answer it, like just be there, man. You've got an hour and a half with me. I'm sorry, like that is one of my pet peeves for sure.
I guess I'll just throw in there because the only thing that really annoys me, like I've done so much gaming at this point, the only thing that really annoys me outside of what you're already not supposed to do is people that mark their health and damage with dice. I fucking hate that. Even if you use the little, like, it's not that the die gets bumped, it's that it's not actually clear on what's going on so often. Like, I asked my opponent 3 times consecutively how much power Red Skull 3 had. And he told me 3 times 0. And then I threw something at him and he braced and said, I had 10 power. Because it's a 0 on the die. And I was like, I literally asked you 3 times. And I was just like, you know what, I'm done. Like, I basically scooped the game. I was like, I don't care anymore. Like, why are we doing this? Alright, let me go back to questions. Next up, where do you feel the state of the game is, with other skirmish games released and AMG reaching deep into the Marvel Heroes universe for more obscure heroes? Is the game falling in interest, or is it alive and well based on other benefits counter to those concerns? For me, I don't think the other skirmish games is directly hurting MCP. At our store, Judgement is definitely gaining ground, and there's a lot of people that play both. I also don't think that they're particularly deep in the bag of heroes. I mean, they could release Marvel Heroes until the Earth goes cold. Like, there's just so fucking many of them. I don't think the game is in a healthy place. I just think it's right now it's kind of like explored. I think they need something to shake it up a bit. I think the game is a little solved at the moment.
I think
Jeremy, Parker, what do you think?
I was gonna say, I think that's true probably at the highest levels. I think there is some truth to that. But, games wax and wane. Like, sometimes they're in, states of really high competition, and sometimes they need, like, a revamp or a refresh, and I think we're just a long time from the last refresh, I think, is the symptom of this. But
we're literally as far as possible,
right?
Because the fucking mini extravaganza's tomorrow,
right? It is 100% part of that. Also, I will say this, because of the IP specifically, and because there are still games that go on in game stores, I still see new people. Like, it's not weird. Just the old. What's that?
It is weird seeing new people. I'm
like,
what? You just started? Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. A lot of games I have noticed are just kind of a lot of games that I've played, at least, have the guard that never give up until the game is, finally on its last gurgle. And that's kind of who I can count on to play with. But this game has not been like that. Like, there's been a steady cycle of new people coming in and trying to really explore the game. I think that's really cool. I keep playing brand new players, or seeing brand new players come to tournament, which is awesome. So yeah, I think part of it's the IP. I think part of it's the strength of the game and the fact that we do have a pretty, a welcoming core, at least in our local game. I can't speak for every environment, but I think around here the game is very healthy, especially with its constant new growth.
Mm-hmm.
I think the population of the game is pretty much as large as it's ever been. I don't think it's shrunk at all.
I would
now,
agree.
Maybe some people have left, but new people have replaced them.
I mean, you would know as a manager of the store, are you selling as much product now as you did a year ago?
Definitely no, but that's primarily due to the fact that so many people have hit critical mass on their collections. Like, people were still buying stuff last year, and now it's like people are only really buying the newest stuff now. And that you can make an argument that that's like a power creep situation, but I think it's really just like, it's just they've gotten an accumulation of models to this point. Like, the only people buying stuff are the brand new people that just came in. And so I think overall we're probably selling less of each new release, but there's also a lot of people that used to buy literally everything that have stopped.
I know for me, that's not a factor of like the game getting weaker. It's just a fact of my collection getting so big I can't play it all.
So many models I don't even play with already.
Right. Go ahead, Aaron.
I was just going to say, I think the game is in a slightly weaker state. I don't think it's anywhere near death's door.
Yeah. I think it's definitely been higher at previous states, but I don't think it's in the worst place it's ever been in either. It's definitely been in way worse places. Alrighty, next up. Oh, that was actually the last question. Look at that.
Ta-da!
Boom. Ta-da.
Just in time for Jeremy to go to sleep.
Yeah, basically.
Dude.
All right. Last thing we're going to do is final Mojo verse. We're going to do infamous moments.
Oh.
This is things that have previously happened either on the cast or just between our friend group, whatever, just between us. I'm going to start this one off. And I think maybe my favorite moment in all of Infamous was when I forgot. I thought that Aaron had already introduced himself. And so I cut Aaron off to start talking about announcements. And Jeremy's like, oh no. And the oh no, I felt so terrible, but the oh no made me laugh so hard that I think Aaron thought I was doing it on purpose. But I was so, because I had something to say right after, and I always forget to do announcements. So I was so focused on just getting to the announcement. I was like, all right, I'm going to say this, I'm going to say this, I'm going to say this. And as soon as Jeremy stopped talking, I just assumed it was Aaron had stopped talking because there was like a delay. And so I started talking about the thing. And, oh my God, I thought it was hilarious. Yeah, but I felt terrible.
Do you know why there's a delay?
Because you have terrible internet?
No.
Oh, because Jeremy takes forever to do his sign-off.
Because Jeremy decides that he's going to be something that's 18,000 paragraphs, and I don't know when he's fucking done.
Yeah.
And I can start introducing myself.
Do what I do. Just cut the person off.
I write my own story. Don't tell me how to feel.
All right.
I'm not telling you to film. I'm just telling you to shut the fuck up.
Nah.
Next up is Jeremy. What is one of your favorite moments between us?
It was before we started recording. The one time we started pulling up all the baby cakes and the Professor Brothers, and we both were like crying. We were laughing so hard. Me and Parker were just fucking rolling.
Yeah,
that was pretty funny.
That was at LVO, wasn't it?
No, that was just on. We were just sitting here and we just started looking at all that stuff.
That was the same thing. Yeah. You guys pulled up Professor Brothers in the hotel room at LVO.
Yeah, we did that.
We showed you at LVO, and it was fun. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Also,
I still mean to keep go back and watch those, but I never do.
We got the Chicago deep dish pizza twice in a row that one year. That was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. That was great. All right, hold on. So we got all right. Next up's Parker.
I have to go with the ultimate classic, which is I play Mission Objective.
Dude,
I've never seen a person lie with more conviction in their entire life.
It wasn't even like a lie. It was like the boldest, obvious falsehood.
What? Okay, I just dragged me to the mud.
Because Parker was just spectating. And so he's just standing there and he looks down and he's like, you have sucker.
I'm just like, that's why it was so awesome.
He thought, because we do that constantly, we're like, oh, I do this. And it's like you throw somebody into their character, goes, he's immune to collisions. And we just stare at the other person.
I watched fully 20 minutes of the game.
Yeah, he watched like half an hour of the game. And he's like, and he knows your tactics cards. And he's looking at him. And he's like, what the fuck? And so he chuckles, and I'm waiting for him to put the objective down. And so I'm not buying it at all because he's obviously cheating.
Aaron didn't even look did not a sideways glance, just staring directly forward through Brandon's soul.
Yeah, I was like, give me the objective, and he's like, no, I play mission objective.
I thought he was. I just thought you were bullshitting the entire time. It was the most perfect execution.
For people at home, he had he didn't bring all of his tactics cards, so he said he was going to proxy some of them. And so once he just listed 5 cards at the beginning of the game, and then put different cards down. And I had totally forgotten because we've been playing for an hour and a half, and I was like, you don't have mission objective. Anyway,
but then you remembered I did.
I didn't remember shit. I won that game.
So I didn't leave them at home. It's when I was playing 3 lists on the same night, and
that's your problem.
Yeah, I had competitive lists, I had fun lists, but trying to keep track of all of the tactics cards for all the lists was like, fuck this, we're just writing shit on a piece of paper. And I went to write it on a piece of paper, and there was no paper around, so I just listed them off to you.
Yeah. All right. What's your favorite moment, Aaron?
Either one of 2.
Well, you get 3 of these, so take your time.
3 of them?
Shit! Mojo World.
Mojo World.
God damn.
Yeah. Well, no one's gonna know these, but the first one is gonna be my first cast ever. when I was absolutely convinced when you guys were like, okay, now we're all gonna clap. I'm like, fuck you.
Oh
I'm not doing that.
Oh man,
we clapped to
that
sync
was
up the
good.
audio tracks.
That was good.
Because there's like a time stretch
That was good.
based on your computer. And I was like, all right, so on the count of 5, you're going to clap. And he's like, yeah, also there's snipes, right? He just would not. We had to do it like 4 times, showing him that we were doing it before he would clap. And he still didn't believe us. He's like, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
You don't realize the military community I grew up in was
Oh,
like,
no, I 100% realized. As soon as you're like, I'm not doing that, I was like, oh no.
I've
There's
been
like
traumatized.
nothing we can do.
Yeah.
There's nothing we can do to teach him.
Yep.
All right. You get another one. What's your next one?
Oh, my next one is going to be on.
Yeah.
It was either, again, this is all casting stuff, but either the first or second one. When I was eating, I forget what it was. Chips,
Oh, I think it was
pasta.
chips. Yeah, you eat like.
Oh, it's cheese.
Actually, I think it was popcorn.
Oh.
Because
No, it
just
was definitely
No, it was
crunchier.
crunchy as hell. Yeah.
You had like a little bowl of stuff, but he had done this thing where he would lean really far away from like his microphone and then just like put a chip in his mouth and slowly chew it. And he was watching his Audacity board.
No.
For the
I
audio.
was watching Discord.
Oh, Discord. Yeah, for the
The
green.
green
ring.
would not show
Yeah.
up on Discord, so I'm like, great, it's not picking it up. This is amazing.
Yeah.
And then you're like, Aaron, the fuck were you doing last night? Because apparently Audacity picks it up a lot better than
Yes,
Discord does.
It does.
Yes. It's like true audio recording, not just. It doesn't have a sensor. It just
That's awesome.
goes. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Oh my god. I don't think I actually heard it because you did it like in the middle and I don't check the entire thing for like background noise. And so because it wasn't at the end, it wasn't at the beginning, I didn't know you did it until after the fact. Somebody told me you were eating chips. And I was like, are you kidding me? And I just started skipping around. I was like, that son of a bitch. And so Parker saw it, he's like, munch, munch, munch. Because it was only not when you were talking. All right, Parker, what's your number 2?
I'm going to go for a deep cut that we've mentioned a couple times before, but I feel like it's the perfect like moment to really edify our relationship was determining the name of the podcast because I had.
Don't worry, this is going to be mine as well.
Okay,
Right.
that was the most. I had the most terrible ideas, and I was so excited to share all of them.
You fucking were. That's true.
and then what I love is that when we finally arrived on something after a long time, I remember like staring at that problem for a long time. I love still today. I listen to our little sign off
Intro.
at the end of every episode.
Oh, really?
I love it because I think it perfectly like transports me back to that moment when I was so excited and you were so like, ugh.
Well, that was
You did a
100%
great
acting.
job.
I was very excited.
Yeah.
But I can act in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
One of the ways I do not act in is the like bright-eyed, oblivious, like childlike enthusiasm.
Mhm.
I do not do that as a personality trait.
Yeah.
And so like I can be just about everything else, but like I don't do the super high energy like
Ugh.
YouTuber. And you do, like you're
Yeah.
good at that because you have like you talk to kids, like it's just your personality.
Right.
You can slip into that. And so like you definitely had to do that part, but I'm definitely acting in that. So
Yeah. Oh no, it was a great
Mhm.
time, but it
really worked, I thought.
we
And
managed
I
to
listened to it
Yeah.
so many times that I now don't listen to it. I haven't listened to
Oh.
that in probably 2 years.
Oh really?
I haven't heard our intro in 2 years.
Yeah, I love it because I feel like it captured that moment really well.
Yeah.
Good.
I remember actually like 2 years ago, I listened to the intro on like a YouTube video. I'm like, what the fuck is that noise? I go, oh, it's our intro. Like it took me a second because I was just so not used to hearing it. All right, Jeremy, you're up next.
I think when we were playing one of the encounters and you were playing Magneto
Yes.
and you wouldn't stop fucking me and my partner wouldn't try to try. So
Could you just try?
Yeah.
Please?
like I was like the thing is I was drunk enough where it was awesome, but
yeah, you
I
were
was
both
getting
drinking.
so frustrated.
It was me and other Brandon versus other Brandon and you.
Yeah.
And you got up to go get another drink because it was going so badly. And he was activating Scarlet Witch. Scarlet Witch needed to kill a construct, which is like, it's just sitting there. It has like 1 defense die and like 5 hit points. And he has Scarlet Witch. It was like, this thing is dead. And so you came back and you're like, what are you doing? You hurry up, take your turn. It's been like 5 minutes. I had to make a mixed drink. He's like, oh no, I went. He's like, did you not activate Scarlet Witch? He's like, no, I did. It's like, what did you do? He's like, oh, I tried to kill the construct. And he looks over and has 1 damage on it. It's like,
so stupid.
What? He's like, why didn't you spend her? You had 10 power. He's like, oh, I did spend it. So he did Cruel Twist, Hex Bolt, and threw a size 4 at it. Did 1 damage. It's like, fucking Christ.
And that's when he uttered the famous line, can you,
And then
can
he's
you
like,
just
did
try?
you just fucking try, please? Because Jeremy was taking it very seriously, even though he was drinking. And Brandon could not give a fuck what was going on at the table.
Pissing me off the most is how giddy and excited you were, just raking us across the course.
I was having a
just
fucking
destroying us with fucking
Ultimate
Magneto.
Counter Magneto is best Magneto. That guy fucks. He has a beam 5, like 9-die mystic attack for
You're
some
like,
reason.
It's fine. Just keep pushing. I'm sure you can get rid of that missile. And then the next turn, we just get whacked again. It was so stupid.
I remember I went to shoot the beam, or I was lining up the beam because he has a place. So I place in a line, and I'm like, all right, first attack's going to go into, like, I don't know, like Gwen or somebody. And he's like, hold on, I'm going to play I'm going to play Lethal Protector. So he places Venom, and I just start laughing. And he's like, what? I was like, nothing, do your thing. And so he gets to attack me back. And I'm like, all right, cool. Now I'll do the beam. Now I hit all 5 of your guys' models because he placed Venom in the beam. I'm like, you fucking crazy person.
It was so fun.
Oh my god, that game was hilarious. And at the end of the day, you're like, fuck Magneto. Alright, so I got 2. Oh boy. I have to choose every single time I've played Aaron in a team tournament.
Oh, God.
Aaron,
I don't even know why.
You don't know why?
No.
I remember one of them. I was there.
I remember all of them. Every single time I play against you in teams, it's usually... Wait, hold on. Is it every time? It's 2 times I played with Jeremy. I think once I played with Parker.
Mm-hmm.
And all 3 games, it was, I wonder if we can just table them. It's basically my list. And all 3 times I've played Aaron looks at our list and goes, fucking goddamn it. Why do we have to do this? And he sits down, and about middle way through turn 2, Aaron goes, well, this fucking game is over. And I'm like, no, Aaron, it's not over yet. You could still win. And then we fucking table them. It's fucking great. I love it. I love team tournaments, but I really love playing team tournaments against Aaron. Mostly because he hates it.
There's something about the knife twisting in that moment that you love so much. I don't understand the glee you felt, but I was there. I had a front row seat for it.
Well, I just love it because his natural playstyle is not murdery, like it's not stabby, and mine is. And I think stabby lists are naturally good at high point totals. And so it just gets to the point where it's like, all right, it just becomes a mosh pit because there's too many models and you can't hide. And I love just killing stuff. And so you just get to do that in teams. Anyway, my last one is Parker naming the podcast. And because of that, I'm just gonna read a few of them now.
Oh God!
I just because I need people to understand how absolutely awful they were. All right, here we go. Where's the ones that Parker did? Oh no, where's I didn't delete the Parker ones, did I? The Batman podcast. Feel free to explain that one. Defend yourself.
I can't. They're so bad. That was the worst brainstorm I think I've ever participated in my entire
Ultimate
life.
Podcast, Ultimate Crisis. Crisis Friends. Earth's Mightiest Podcast. That one's almost acceptable. And then I followed up with, we should just be called the Parker is Dumb Podcast. I was so frustrated with your
so
suggestions.
mad.
The Gauntlet. You tried to sell me on the Gauntlet. I'm like, what is that? And you didn't even, it wasn't Infinity Gauntlet. It was just like, you throw down the Gauntlet. I'm like, what are you talking about? That doesn't mean anything.
You know, the Gauntlet.
Oh my God. Hail Hydra? Yeah, I don't know. It was so bad.
Well, all of those
the
were
Batman podcast, I literally lost it. I was like, what are you talking about?
So if the intro is my choice, then all the other ones should be your choice, because that was
I'm actually very happy with the title of the podcast.
Yeah.
The last podcast we had for War Machine, L2 War Game, we literally just picked it out of sheer frustration because we decided as a group we didn't want to just be another podcast that names it after a gaming keyword like Chain Attack, Battle Driven, Pathfinder. There was every Advanced Deploy, there Line of Sight. There was all these ones that were just gaming terms, which works. But we just wanted to stand out, and we couldn't think. We literally brainstormed for over a month. We couldn't think of anything, and so we just, out of sheer frustration, we just had the 5 things we had already suggested, and we just voted. We were like, we're done. Like, we just have to pick something. And I hated it. I always hated it, and so now I'm happy we have one I like. Mm-hmm. And we worked on this one for hours.
Yeah. I remember standing right over there in my comics, and I was just looking at. I
remember we came up with the idea of doing an acronym. And then we were like, okay, we're going to do an acronym. We need to come up with one that makes sense. And so we wrote down a word bubble of just commonly used words in comic book titles. Yeah. We're like, let's make a word out of this. And then we got to Infamous. And we were like, Infamous works because it's Infamous Iron Man. It's perfect. Right. And so we just had to come up with something that worked to spell Infamous.
Yep. We loved it. It was great.
Yeah, it was great. I love it a lot. All right, next up is going to be... Jeremy. You can't top. Can you just try, please? But
I don't know. I mean, yeah, that's kind of my magnum opus, if you will.
We could just go back to the T-shirt. Do you want me to read you the T-shirt stuff?
Which one was that?
We were going to make a T-shirt that fell through, and all the fun. Oh, did you get them?
Oh, did you get them? No, did you get her? Oh, did you get her?
I was watching Aaron and Jeremy play, and they're in their cleanup phase. So Jeremy's like sweeping everything off of a card, turning it over, sweeping everything off a card, turning it over. And then he gets to the last one, he just picks up the damage and puts it in the bucket.
Hell yeah.
I was like, I watch him for like 10 seconds, and he just goes back to doing other things. So I was like, all right, well, it's not a joke, because he would have said something by now. And I look at Aaron. Aaron hasn't noticed it, but he seems to think something is wrong, looking at Jeremy's board state. And I look back at Jeremy, I'm like, are you going to turn the card over? And he's like, huh? I was like, I can't remember who it was, like Black Cat or somebody. I was like, Black Cat, you gonna turn her card over? He's like, oh, did you get her? I lost
That's your job to follow that shit. I don't know.
I'm just your job to follow my character.
I'm just here. I'm here having a great time.
I was crying laughing because it was just so crazy.
It was pretty wild.
Yeah. It was great.
That guy's capable of anything.
All right, so did you get her? I'll put that.
Wild card.
All right, next up is Parker.
This is legendary. Even though you and I were the only ones here to see it, Parker uploads his computer in the cloud.
Oh God, Parker!
The day the world stood still because it was uploading. All of it.
Parker goes to the cloud.
It was really what it was. Is I tried to take my entire giant CPU, so much data, and spaghettify it into a black hole, and then snip it off like halfway through the process, and let it all fall back down into my CPU.
Every time we even talk about this, I literally cry. I explained it to Ryan, and I'm not kidding, in tears for like 10 solid minutes. I couldn't breathe.
I wish we had recorded it, because
we'd have no recording of it because you would have fucking deleted it.
You were so apoplectic the whole time, and I was just so like matter of fact, like, oh yeah, I just deleted it. You're like deleted what? I was like, I think.
All right, I think we've talked about it. I have to explain it. So we were going to originally. For Parker to send me his audio file from his recording for the podcast, I got him to install Dropbox so he could upload it to my Dropbox and I could just have the file immediately. And so after we had done the first recording, I was like, all right, so download Dropbox, blah, 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 and walking him through, I was like, yeah, just blah, blah, blah. And he's just in a hurry to get done with it because it's late. And he's like, all right, so I install it. And then he's just clicking through the question boxes, and he clicks all of them, and he's like, all right, I'm going to start doing something. And he's like, all right. I was like, just drop the thing in the folder, and it'll upload. And he's like, I can't. I was like, what do you mean you can't? He's like, my computer isn't responding. I was like, what do you mean it's not responding? Like, it locked up? He's like, no. Like, every once in a while, my mouse will move to a new location, but it's not doing anything. I can't click stuff. I was like, well, it sounds like it's just loading. Like, did you do something? He's like, no. And so I was like, well, just wait. It'll catch up in a second. And he's like, no, it's not. Things are appearing in the folder.
in the Dropbox.
Oh my god!
Things are appearing in the folder.
Like
Slowly,
everything.
but they're all coming. Just wait.
I'm already crying. Oh my god! And so he's like describing to me what's happening. I'm like, "Did you tell us to back up your computer?"
I was just clicking on shit so fast. I just said yes to everything. And it said, "Would you like to shove your entire computer into the cloud now?"
Yes.
And I was like, "Yes." And so it goes, "Okay."
Here we
That's
go.
not the funny part, though. This is where we're getting to. He goes, "Well, the only way to fix it is to delete the files." But he's not deleting them in the Dropbox.
I'm just
on
like
the computer.
I'm just like slash and burning everything, just like destroying it all.
Oh my god.
Put it off at the source. It's basically like a controlled burn to stop a wildfire. I was just destroying
It doesn't
everything.
work. Because every time if something gets deleted, it can't upload it. It moves on to the next file.
I had so many like tool tips and like short links on my computer that went nowhere. Like I click on it and it goes, "The file that this was cannot be found." I was like, "Well, no shit, it was destroyed in the Dropbox."
And so for like 30 minutes straight, I'm like, "What are you doing now?" He's like, "I'm deleting files." I'm like, "What do you mean you're deleting them? They're just going to upload again." He's like, "No, I'm deleting the root file." It'll stop. I'm like, "What are you talking about? You mean you're just uninstalling programs?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, what? At this point, I'm doing this. I'm just crying, laughing at him. I can't tell him what to do because I can't breathe.
And I wasn't crying or laughing. I was just like,
he was just like, "Nope, this is the only way. We just got to uninstall the whole hard drive." Oh my god. And eventually I'm like, so he finally realizes that what he's doing is causing irreparable damage to his computer. He's basically just drilling holes in his hard drive. And so eventually he's like, "Wait, I can just uninstall Dropbox."
Oh my god.
And so he just uninstalls Dropbox. I'm like, "Okay." So it stopped. He's like, "Yeah, my computer's working normally again." Because the whole time he's doing it through like a slideshow because his computer is overloaded. He's like, "All right, I got it." I was like, "Cool, all right, so now install Dropbox again." He's like, "Nope, not doing that. I'll see you later." He just hangs up from the call. Oh my god. Oh my god, I can't stop laughing. Oh my god.
That's my number one.
Oh god. Yeah, so I need to go through and make an 8-bit Parker just shoving his computer PC into a cloud. Oh god. Oh. Okay. Last one.
That was awesome.
Aaron, what was your next favorite?
I don't know how I topped that.
You can't. You should choose Parker uploads his computer.
I'm actually going to choose another one about Parker. This was Parker's game against me, where he ran nothing but 4 threats into my illegal malpractice.
That was pretty good.
You
had one
CGR
job
list, right?
Yeah.
Say what? Oh, CGR, that's right.
Yeah. That was great. He's like, "I'm gonna beat you," and he's like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "My list is really good," and he's like, "What do you mean?" He goes like, "Well, it's like Daredevil and
original Sabretooth,
and like original
Ronan.
Sabretooth and like these 2 other guys."
Yeah,
like,
and Ronan.
Your list is just 4 pointers with no action economy, and he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "How are you going to beat CG?"
Sounds great, right? Sounds great.
It doesn't even make sense. And he just methodically walks across the table into Aaron's deployment zone and kills him. And just tables him. And it's like, what is happening? It was so funny. I was kind of watching from the corner because I didn't want to interrupt the game because I really wanted to see how it was going. But I was watching it from like 2 tables away, like secretly. And I walked into the other room to get Kenny and Quentin. I was like, "All right, just act like you're going to get sodas, but check out that table. Parker's going to table him." And they're like, "No way."
It's
and they walked over. They just did a drive-by and didn't say anything. And they're like, "Oh my god, Parker's going to lose, going to win. He's going to fucking beat CTR with garbage."
We'll never hear the end of it.
If you were listening to the podcast at that time, you heard me constantly talk about how CGR no big deal, and you guys what you didn't hear
that was the setup.
What you guys didn't hear is out of the cast sometimes the three of you would just roast me so hard for making comments like
100%.
that. And
mostly because it reflected badly on us because you sounded so incompetent.
Yeah, and so you
I had one job.
Yeah,
it was proven wrong.
Yeah, it wasn't just a random game. There's a reason people were like kibitzing on the sides.
Yeah.
Yeah, we almost took cash bets on that game, and nobody was betting.
I would have absolutely.
Yeah.
I would have.
That's the best though. Like Parker always just pulls it out, and like when no one believes in him, it's like Parker, what'd you play against? Oh, I played against like Thanos Wakanda. I'm like, oh man, that's like a really bad matchup for you. What'd you do? He's like, oh, my opponent just didn't know what special delivery did, so I dazed Thanos on top of one, and you're like, what?
Shit.
Oh god. All right, and finally, to close it out, some of our best quotes. I'm just going to read what was going to be originally on our t-shirts. Is if I could just lose first round, I would have a real shot at this. Oh, did you get them? That's a great one. Yeah. I play mission objective. Like out of context, these are whatever, but in context, they're so funny. Then we've got putting the style back in MCP since 2020. Could you just fucking try, please? This is great. I don't even remember who this was. Is this Parker? The Pied Piper of Simpletons.
Oh my god.
I don't even remember who said that one. I remember this one. A multiplicity of bailiwicks.
Yeah, that's
one of my favorites.
Yeah.
That's a shout out to the Guernsey people.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I just want to say personally, it's been a pleasure recording somewhere around 200 episodes with you guys.
Mm-hmm.
It's been fun.
I can't believe it's come to an end like this. This is crazy.
Don't do that. You'll scare people.
Do what? What do you mean?
Don't do that. You'll scare people. People take that shit seriously.
Do what?
I'm coming back here next Wednesday. I'm going to turn this thing on. You guys better be here so I can talk.
I thought we said we were going to do 200 and it was over.
That's not what we said at all.
Did you want to keep going?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
Do it for me.
Keep going.
Yeah.
Okay.
For the sake of Parker. Right. First, you're going to have to upload your hard drive because we're going to have to get that material back.
Parker, I have an honest question for you. Do you have Dropbox installed?
No, I do
He actually
not.
has blocked it on his router.
No.
Like, no one in this house will have Dropbox.
Never, ever again.
I bet your daughters could both install Dropbox and have no problems.
Oh, yeah, because they would be really discerning and actually like, no, don't
read
do that.
the checkboxes. Okay, guys. It's been wonderful. Good night, everybody. This has been Brandon.
And Parker.
And Jeremy.
And Aaron.
Goodbye.
Good night.
So long.
Hey, Brandon, I'm on my way. Fuck. Damn it. I'm on my way, Brandon. As fast as I can. Can't turn my goddamn phone.
So what are we going to call this thing?
I got it. Okay. Incredible, new, fantastic, astonishing, mighty, original, uncanny, sensational podcast.
I'm just going to put down infamous.